Okay. Hey, check to make sure I'm live now on the stream. Make sure you can hear me and all that crap is working.
Rewind, refresh.
Looks good.
Yeah, I can see the background on Twitch now.
I would just recommend you guys mute anything off so you don't hear bells or hear us over and over.
Okay.
Do we need to have World Anvil open as well?
You should be able to see me moving the little red dot.
Right now I see it below Lake Nunn. Are you going to move it?
Yes, it's probably about a 5-second lag.
Yeah, I see it moving.
Okay.
I see it moving.
All right, good deal. So that just kind of keep your eye on that as the game begins. That's where that red dot is where your all's characters will be. But real quick, I'm going to introduce this. We are here for Kobold Con. Is this the first Kobold Con virtual, Chuck?
It is.
Excellent. So we are again. It's running all weekend, May 1 through 3rd, and of course it got caught up in all the pandemic madness, and they had to go virtual. So here we are running some games. I got Jim Tricks of the Trade later, and I'll be sitting down with Luke and Elisa Sunday at some point, 11 Central Standard Time, I think. But right now we're going to dive right into the Darkened Fold, my favorite stomping ground. Does everyone have a character picked out?
Yep.
We lost.
Yeah.
We lost someone. There was a big red line through their camera.
Well, I'm still here. Camera issue. Working on it.
Are you guys hearing Steve's mic cut out?
Am I cutting it out too fast? I may be letting go of the key before I finish talking.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Steve,
if you want to make a quick adjustment to that, you can.
What do you got?
Go down there to the gear, right? Go to voice and video. And when you do that, you're going to see all this voice settings, right? Just kind of look down and you see the blue bar that says push to talk, and tell me when you see that.
I see it.
There's a little radial dial to the right. You can go left and right. That's your talk release. You can control that, and that's how long the mic stays open. The farther to the right you do, the longer it stays open. You can kind of play with that.
So we'll do 5 seconds. Or, well...
Mine's set on 72 milliseconds right now.
We'll do 90 milliseconds because that's where it went.
And it looks like Melchior's mic is not on push to talk, and that's what's causing that reverb periodically.
Damn, somebody went into outer space. That's pretty cool.
How did you determine whose mic it was?
Just you can watch in the chat or in Discord on the left, and everybody that talks, they're little, like my little circle. I'm not sure on the pop out. I don't think there's a. Oh yeah, there's a light green around my picture. Okay, I see that. Yeah, that's how you can tell. Melchior, his is lit up right now, even though he's not talking.
So that's how you tell his is lit up.
Yeah, it shows he's transmitting. He's trying to talk now, I think, but we can't hear him. You've muted yourself in Discord, Melchior.
So I had my my push to talk set way high for that blue bar, and I think it was just keeping me active the entire time after I pushed to talk. So hopefully this will be better.
Yeah, always technology, always.
All right, so what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the setup started. Chuck, are you playing? You got a character?
Yeah, I'm going to play. Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
We'll see.
So I'm going to get the setup going, and then once we kind of get into it, I'm going to have you guys describe your characters, and then that's when you'll let everybody kind of know who you are, what you're playing, and we can go from there. Sound good?
Yeah, Steve, as far as your question about who we're missing, we are missing a few. I checked my email, I didn't get no messages from them, so they may show up and they may not, I don't know. 10 signed up, and like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10. So that's pretty.
No, that's great. And if they wander in, we'll work them in, and if not, we'll just man down already. So there you go.
Right on. Okay.
Okay, so you guys find yourselves wandering in the darkened fold. It's late summer, easing into early fall. The weather has changed somewhat. The summer was relatively dry. However, rains came in, and they generally come in out of the west. If you look at that map on the screen in front of you, you see where it says the land of the Boulevard. That's a North Kingdom, but that's neither here nor there for now. The rains generally come in on the anvil end from that direction, picking up a lot of moisture off of the mountains, and they dump this moisture in just everywhere across the darkened fold. You were on a boat, on a small barge, going up the Mistbane River, which is a little bit cut off, but you can see beneath the red dot, you can see where it says Mistbane. That was the river that you were on. The river began to flood. The barge master pulled. You were actually headed, if you look up by my picture, you'll see the little town of Innsmeet. That's where the Mistbane River goes. That's where you guys were carrying your loot, your whatever you had gathered in the darkened fold, the summer adventures that you had been on. You're heading back to Innsmeet, where you can possibly sell it, where you can at least find refuge, a place to hang out, you know, and weather the coming bad season, the stormy season. So the barge master, when he noticed that the river was beginning to rise, he moved his barge up into that smaller river to the north. That's the Washita River, and there he kind of hooked off on the eastern bank. So I'm on the west side. My picture's on the west side. The Kobold logo is on the right side. And there he anchored the barge, told everyone to hunker down, and they were going to you're all going to ride out the storm. Now, to give you a quick, actually we'll get to that in a minute. So you're going to ride out the storm. That was the idea. It quickly went south as the Washita began to flood as well. The barge began to pull and tug on its moorings, began to move downriver. Hit something, began to take water, began to tilt a little bit onto its starboard, and he told everyone to get off the boat as quickly as you possibly could. He was throwing your packs off the boat, throwing them onto the bank, trying to get you guys to safety. So the 8 of you and a few more that scattered off into the woods that you assume were just lost either in the flood or whatnot, managed to get off the barge onto the east bank and scramble up in the dark, in the early hours of the morning, onto this small hillock, and you watched as the barge and his 2 bargemen attempted to salvage this thing, but it eventually tipped, vanished in the darkness, and by morning, which is where you are now, you see no sign of barge, no sign of the bargemen or any of that. You did see it flip and go over, but survivors you see none of. So now you find yourselves on the eastern bank of the Washita River. The whole region that you're standing in is flooded. You're on a small hillock. You can see other hillocks here and there, though not very far because the darkened fold is a pretty thick forest. But you can see that the water table is risen quite a bit, and you've got anywhere between a couple of 2 or 3 inches and a foot of water on the ground wherever that you are looking. So what I want to do is, okay, we got someone else is joining us, it looks like. Good deal. So what I want to do is start up on the top, what is that, left corner, Chuck, with you, and just give me a quick skinny of what you're playing. Describe your character, name, whatnot, etc., etc. Was all that long?
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, do me laugh because I'm doing social media right now, and I'll just do me laugh. Just skip me.
Okay, we'll start with Farwinder.
All right. His name is Edgar. He is a male half-elf ranger. Yeah, and that's pretty much it right now. He prefers to use melee weapons over ranged. He's good with range, but he likes to get in close. So that's it.
Sounds good. Grimfast?
I'm playing Grimfast. He's a remarkably tall, quite serious gnome warrior. 3'8".
Jimmy?
I've got Karina. She's a half-elf ranger. Very determined.
Excellent. Marcos Kales?
Yeah, today I'm playing Marcos Kales. He's a human paladin, and he is not afraid of much, if anything at all.
Sweet. Melkor?
I'm playing my sound coming through?
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry, I'm not seeing an indicator here, sorry. Playing a human fighter named Aldrich. He's about 6 foot tall, carries a bastard sword, and looks pretty scarred up and ragged.
Nice. Stormforge?
Dwarven fighter, arrows, brimstone, clan Grimstone. Orcs are the enemy. Their destruction is paramount.
Nice. All right, Liz, I think we skipped you. Give me just character name and race and class.
I am playing Bryce the Druid. I am blanking on the race. Give me 1 second to get my character sheet pulled back up. But Bryce has a pet fox named Red.
Nice. All right, where were we? Taraka.
Today I'll be playing Elwyn Moon with the classic beauty, with pale skin and generous curves. Graceful and poised with the dancer's movements and bewitching eyes with differing colors. Dresses to best draw the eye when not traveling. Elwyn is an illusionist. Human illusionist.
All right, good deal. So if I gather, we've got 1 ranger, 1 druid, 1 illusionist, and no clerics or wizards. An interesting party mix. All right. So, Liz, just to give you, I think you might have missed at the beginning, but you guys are on the East Bank. If you go to our Twitch channel, you can see the map there. That red dot is where you guys are. You're on the East Bank of the Washita River. You have your summer loot in hand, and the idea is to get to ends meet in some way before the rainy season really begins and washes you all off and downstream. So let me give you a quick skinny on the Darkenfold. The Darkenfold is a very large and ancient forest. It's one of the few regions in the world of Erd that survived the long millennial dark. 1,000 years ago, a dark god named Unklar conquered the plain and pretty much controlled everything other than a few small areas. The Darkenfold was one of those. And one of the reasons that he could not control it is the forest itself is somewhat of a living entity. It's not that they're all ants or anything like that, but the forest has a little bit of a consciousness, a little bit of a awareness, and it doesn't like any kind of interlopers. It doesn't like anything that harangues or harasses or does anything to the trees itself. Don't try to imagine it as some kind of Mother Earth thing. It's a very hostile environment. It doesn't like animals. It doesn't like humans. It doesn't like dwarves. It doesn't like anything. It's just a vaguely malevolent forest that you are in. It's called the Darkenfold because the trees themselves, they are able to absorb light that comes from magic or fires or torches or whatever. So generally speaking, if you light a campfire, it's going to have a 30-foot radius to see and then cast shadows for 40 or 50 feet beyond that. But in the Darkenfold, you can half that. Your campfire is going to maybe give you 15 feet of light. The shadows are only going to go about 20 feet from where you are. So it comes by its name, honestly. It's a dangerous place to live. The other side of that coin is because it's a dangerous place to live, many creatures come, and humans and wizards and whatever else, come to the Darkenfold to make their holes, to build dungeons, keeps, and whatnot, so that they can be far from the madding crowds and there live in peace and security or whatever it is that they want to do. Frequently they die. Frequently they leave behind them their life's wealth and treasures and lost dungeons, keeps, abandoned holes in the whole 9 yards, which brings your crew of people into the Darkenfold because though the risk is high, the wealth that you can garner from the forest is through the roof. So, and that's what you're doing here. You guys have been adventuring, like I said earlier, for a good 3 or 4 months. You've got your plunder in tow, but now you've got to get it out of the Darkenfold. So, when the sun cracks at the horizon, the whole world is sodden wet. You can see the trees are still dripping from the heavy rain that you had. The forest floor is covered in a couple of inches of water. you're in just a lowland, and the water table is clearly overflowed, and it's just water as far as you can see. Certainly you can walk in it, but it's going to be a wet journey, and you all have to determine what your next step is. And the last thing is, you know that north, where ends meet, is where you were going, is the little town of Alice. That may or may not be abandoned. That you don't know.
Okay, I'm ready. I'll set my character whenever you need it, Steve.
Oh yeah, fire that over real quick.
All right, so I'm going to be. I am young Wayne, and I am a noble elf that studies the arts of the arcade. And I love to run around and explore old ruins and run through forests and fight giants and all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm here to play. That's it. Pretty exciting.
All right, so you've got a wizard there. So we've got a group of 10 or 9 or whatever with no cleric. That should be entertaining.
I'm not sure if there was a cleric. Is there a cleric in there?
No, there wasn't a cleric.
There was no cleric for
You got a paladin, that's enough.
Yeah, right here's a cleric, actually. Take that back. Okay. But you wanted
All right, so you guys have to determine now what it is you're going to do. You're hunkered around your gear, a little bit wet, your cloaks are wet, your backpacks are soaking wet, water is soaked into your boots, it's just all over the place. So you know you've got a miserable journey ahead of you. Or you can try to find a barge or whatever it is you want to do.
Hey, Steve, quick question. Since we're on the east side of the river, do we know, just from our exploration, if there is any way to ford the river to get to the western bank, which is the side that Innsmeek is on, anywhere from here up north?
As soon as you get north, yeah, you do. You have vague ideas of what lies up the Washita River. As soon as you go north of where it says Melorian, it broadens a little bit, but then right above that, it narrows quite a bit, and then so the river itself might be slightly larger. It's much shallower. Now, where it says Girthap Falls, above the Girthap Falls are supposed to be fords over both the Washita River and the Western River, which is that other one to the right.
Aldrich is going to ask one of the rangers if he thinks that we could navigate to the falls and ford there to get to the other side.
Yes, I think we can. It might be a little strenuous depending on how thick the forest is on either side of the water, but I don't think it'll be a problem.
It's best to go upstream anyway, because that way we'll be at some higher ground in case it rains.
Have we had a chance to look for any survivors or try to locate that barge?
You have not yet looked for survivors. Sun's just come up.
I think that might be a good thing to do, to see if there's anyone that may have been missed, or if not, any gear that we could acquire, given a short amount of time of looking.
All right, is everyone in agreement, or you're going to split the party already?
No, Aldrich thinks that's a good idea, so we'll start searching around.
Edgar agrees, and we'll begin searching.
as well.
Grimfast warns everybody that the water is very, very high. It's almost a foot. Be very careful.
Perhaps the dwarven home shouldn't search too close to the bank.
We'll stand on each other's shoulders and somebody find us a trench coat.
What would be the possibility of going south to go north? Come down, cross over the Mist Vein, it's a narrow area, and then come around the west side of the river up to around Alice, and then cross over there and head up.
And that's very possible. You can go down, like you noticed, where where it narrows a little bit. Now the river's flooded somewhat, You can try to ford that, but the Miss Vein itself is very deep. It's a good 60, 70 feet deep, even where it's narrow. And on the other side of the river, you would have a broad open prairie. You can see that above the mountains that you could walk through relatively easily, but then you would land yourself in the land of the Beauregard War. Now, to make it a little bit more complicated, further down the river, off map, and I can move the map if need be, but maybe 3 or 4 days, there's actually a bridge that goes over the Mist Bank. But that would put you, obviously, much further away from your goal.
Sure, I understand.
I think that gentleman there had a very wise point that going downstream will get the water levels higher and chance for more surprises.
I just don't want to be wet any longer. Whatever it takes to get dry. My roads are ruined.
He says that,
Yeah,
you
I
all
think that's
realize
a good
all
idea,
your
yeah.
gear is soaking wet.
Is the plan to search the banks and then move out directly? Or while you guys are searching, would you like me to look for shelter in the general area so maybe we could dry off?
It would be a good idea to dry off.
All right, well, I'll see what I can find. If you want to search the banks, I'll stay within shouting distance, but I'll see if I can find any cave or just a thick forest area that might protect us from the rain a little bit, and I'll see what I can construct, even just an elevated lean-to or something like that, just to keep the rain off so we can dry off a little.
What's the daytime?
I missed the question. What was that?
What's the daytime temperature right now? You mentioned it was fall.
It's probably roughly around 60-odd degrees. You're still pretty far south in the lands of Ursula and the world of Erd, and it'll probably warm up mid-60s, low 70s if you're really lucky. At night, it'll get a little bit colder, probably down in the 50s. All right, so Far Wander is going to go, I guess, north a little bit, looking for some kind of shelter, and that leaves, 7 of you, and you guys are going to all kind of head south, or some of you are going to wait, or who's all going to look along the bank?
Well, we want to try to keep shouting distance to each other, so I kind of can stay, trying to stay in visual range of everybody. So that would be a good idea. So I'd be kind of a person in the middle.
Okay, sounds
Far
good.
Wander, do you want some help so that you're not searching alone?
Certainly, yeah. 2 heads
Okay,
is better than 1, 4 heads better than 2.
Yeah, Bryce and Red will go with Far Wander.
All right, sounds good. All right, now, Ranger, I assume that you're going to be tracking and using 4 skills. Druid, are you going to use any spells or anything to try to determine what's going on or find a safe location?
I'm just going to stick to the biggest group and stay dry.
I was talking to Liz on that
I'm
one.
talking to
Druid, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
You're going with the Ranger. Are you going to use any magic to find a safe location?
The skills I'm seeing seem to be scent-based, which seem like they would be kind of obliterated by the water, but I can certainly, let me see what I have to try.
Okay, all right, but for now you're just kind of ranging up, kind of spreading out, helping him just keep eyes on.
Yeah, mostly just making sure that no one is off alone.
All right, so the rest of it, as those 2 head north, the rest of you head down the river, down the bank of the river, keeping within earshot at least of each other. I assume avoiding any pitfalls in the water or whatnot. Everyone except the 2 who went north, give me a spot check. So that's going to be a wisdom check. Add your level to it and any wisdom attribute bonus you have to it.
Is that a D20?
Yes, on a D20. I guess I should have asked. Has everyone here played Castles and Crusades?
I've never played it yet. So I'm wisdom, level, and what else are we adding?
You're going to add your level and your attribute bonus. I'm going to give you a quick, Castles and Crusades is agonizingly easy to play. So I'm going to give you a quick 2-minute spiel on how to do the attribute check. essentially there's two forms of rolling in CNC. You're going to have combat that you roll, and that's like every other role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons based role-playing game that you have. Roll a d20, hit the armor class, etc., etc. So that part you've got. Everything else is going to be either I'm going to tell you succeed at what you're doing. Like, for instance, the Druid and the Ranger can actually move through the water without making checks. They're skilled woodsmen, so they don't need to worry about that. But if I ask you to make an attribute check, you're going to be using what's called the Siege Engine. That's the mechanic that drives every other thing in Castles and Crusades. Essentially, you have... I have to retool my brain. I have to explain this in a few months. You have secondary and primary attributes. Your primary attributes, the base chance, when you roll against that attribute, the base chance to succeed any task is going to be 12. If it's a secondary attribute, the base chance to succeed anything is going to be 18. You always add your level unless I tell you otherwise, which will almost never happen, and you will add your attribute bonus to that. Now, we're going to do a little bit different. If it's a prime, if it's marked on your character sheet as a prime, add 6 to that as well. So if you're rolling on a prime, you're going to roll a d20, you're going to add your level, you're going to add your attribute bonus, and then 6 to it. If you're rolling on a secondary attribute, you're going to roll a d20, add your level, and add your attribute bonus, but not the extra 6. And then on my end, I'll have a challenge, a baseline that you have to hit, and if you hit that, you succeed. If you fail, you don't. It's that simple. Something to keep in mind in Castles and Crusades, when you're fighting a monster, that monster's bonus to hit is equal to its hit dice. So if you're fighting a hill giant that's got 12 hit dice, he's got a plus 12 to hit you. I don't know if all RPGs do that, but certainly Castles and Crusades does. Just keep that in mind when you're fighting something out there. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah. So the prime stats are the ones that have the black circle to the left. The circles are colored in.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And then regarding the 12 and 18, that's something that you know on your side as far as the difficulty of the whatever the check is.
Yeah, I track that. There's two ways that we do it. Normally, you just add your level and your attribute bonus and tell me what you got and tell me if it's a prime or not. A way to kind of make it a little bit easier, if it's a prime, just add 6 to it and just tell me that you don't have to tell me it's a prime or not. You're going to add the 6 to it if it is a prime, and then I'll know on my end whether it hits or not.
Okay. So the other thing then is regarding this attribute modifier. I see my stats like wisdom, which I'd be using. So I see. Here's the mod. I see it off to the right. Okay, so I'm going to be doing D20 plus the mod plus my level, and it's not a prime, so I won't be adding 6.
Yes, correct. That's it. And then you just let me know the number.
I rolled a 20.
That's a good start.
Yeah. Plus 5 plus the modifier 26. I guess that's it. The 26.
Yep, 26. Marcos, did you have something to say?
I also rolled a 20, so that would be the 20 plus the modifier for my character is a plus 1, plus my level of 4, so that's 20.
Man, you guys are using up your 20s at the very beginning on a spot check. Okay, so both of you...
Might as well start strong, right?
Yeah, get out the gate going fast. All right. So both of you are, you all kind of spread out along the bank looking hither and yon, and Ranger and Druid have moved up. You can vaguely see them as they're kind of looking for a spot to camp. And both of you spot at the same time, the Paladin, and Taraka, you were a human something. I didn't finish writing it down.
I'm the illusionist.
Illusionist, all right. You both
Yeah, the wizard
do what?
The wizard rolled a 21, if that helps.
It doesn't really, because these other guys, I mean, it does. It's great that you saw stuff, but the 2 natural 20s spotted it. So you're golden. I can ask everybody what they roll if it makes you feel better, but...
No, I get your point. When there's 20s abound.
We're good to go. All right. You both spot at the same time one of the bargeman's helpers, one of the Pullman. He's clinging to what appears to be a stump about 30 feet off into the Washita River. His knees and below are down and in the water. Water's running pretty fast. and he's just clean. They're, you know, besotted and wet and rather terrified.
Hey, we got to get him out of there.
I don't have a rope. I have no rope. Does somebody have
I got 50
like
feet
a
of rope.
long stick?
I'll bring it over.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we got to get him out of there.
Aldrich has 50 feet of rope as well.
Storm, did you say you were bringing rope over?
Correct.
All right, so you guys gather on the bank of this river and just give me an idea of what you're going to do. You got 30 feet out to where this guy's clinging. When he sees you, he starts waving his arm, and you know, even though you clearly see him, he is panic-stricken enough that he wants you to be certain to see him.
Someone tie like a loop in that thing so we can maybe throw it around him. Just make sure the knot.
I have a
really
grappling
gets-
hook.
Well, you got to tie it so we can put it around. You can put it around his body, and that way he won't get washed downstream.
If we have 2 or 3 of our strong folks hold on and anchor it, or even tie it off to something like a tree on the bank, we could then have one person tie it off, go out and be like a living grappling hook, so we can have a better chance of not damaging the poor part.
Well, I can wrap the rope around a tree, and I can hold the rope. Yeah, I'm not that strong.
I'll help hold the rope.
I'll hold it. I'm pretty strong.
We'll supervise.
I'm in plate mail. I would rather not go out in the water.
Yeah, Aldrich.
Holding the rope, as long as someone can toss it, you know.
Even if I find a stump nearby, I'm going to sit down and kind of organize and, you know, supervise and just watch.
Wise idea.
Mind stinks or something.
All right, so you're going to tie the rope off, or are you going to anchor it with some people just holding it?
Well, I was thinking we could wrap it around a tree. Is there a tree nearby we can wrap it around?
We've got this stump here I'm sitting on.
There's plenty of trees everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if we want a stump per se. Let's have it wrapped around a tree, because that way you don't have to worry about the rope coming off the top of it. And
Fair enough.
3 of us holding the rope, it'll just be a matter of who can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ought to definitely tie off the rope on a tree. If you're going to do that, then Karina will wrap the rope around her waist, tie it off on her, move a little bit above upriver so that she can work her way out through there with the flow of the river.
So you're going to swim out there to him? All right, so you've got yourself anchored pretty good. While you're about to do that, while you're doing that, give me a dexterity check on that. And also, Far Wander and Liz, give me a spot check.
You want a dexterity check from Karina?
Yes, dexterity check from Karina. Just add your level and your attribute bonus.
Right. She rolled a, it's not a fine roll, it's just, she came out with a 14.
You managed with some difficulty to swim out far enough to get yourself where the current actually takes you down to the stump and find you, brace against the stump and where that kid is.
For Edgar's, Far Wander's search check, his spot check rather, am I using my half elf bonus with this, or am I tracking?
Half elf bonus.
Okay, then I get a total of 18.
Liz, how'd you fare?
It's a prime attributes are +6, you said?
Yes.
Alrighty, so that's 16, 18, 23.
All right, Liz, you notice it first, even as you can hear, both of you guys can hear some commotion behind you. There's some shouts going back, some kind of discussion about a stump and some rope and whatnot. and as you're moving forward, you're probably in about 2 inches of water. You both spy kind of simultaneously about maybe 400 or 500 feet up through the forest, this kind of large outcropping of rock, which on the surface looks like it'd be a great place to kind of hunker down, dry off. But as you're moving forward, you notice that the algae around your feet, and you're a druid, you're used to obviously, travel in the forested environment, whatnot. The algae seems to be collecting around your feet rather unnaturally. It's getting kind of thick the more you move. Every time you step into the water, the suction of it, on the surface, the suction seems like it would pull the algae towards you, but it's pulling much more algae than it should, and it begins to congeal around where you walk. And as soon as you stop, even for a moment, it congeals even more.
Edgar does a little tap dancing move and tries to get out of the water.
All right, so you notice Liz kind of hesitating. Liz, what do you do?
Bryce is going to put his hand out and sort of try to push Farwander back. Like we should retreat before we proceed. Something is unnatural here.
I totally agree.
So you begin to tap dance and move, and that seems to disturb the algae quite a bit. It actually gets a little more aggressive as you jump up and down, kind of pushing some of it under the water. It laps up over your boot a little bit and begins to kind of take a little bit of, it clings to you a little bit.
Get out of the water. Backing up, get out.
All right, so both of you start falling back. Okay, so Elf, you're over on the...
It's not every day you run into an aggressive algae.
There you go. Elf, you're on the stump, and the rest, you can't hear anything yourself, but the rest of you who are on the bank, kind of holding the rope and whatnot, you hear a little bit of shouting, not terror-stricken shouting, but a little bit of alarm coming from behind you, where your two comrades moved up the river.
All right, since Aldrich wasn't holding the rope or swimming, Aldrich will kind of pull his bastard sword and start heading that direction.
Roger that. Anyone else?
I'm holding the rope.
I'm holding the rope.
Yeah, I figure I'll hold the rope and try to help this person wheel it in.
Yeah, if they're all holding the rope, I'll pull out my short bow and I'll go halfway in between, and if I see anything, I'll start taking a shot.
All right, so Melkor and Stormford, you guys head up. The rest of you are kind of holding the ropes and whatnot. Chuck, you still sitting on the stump administrating?
Yeah, I'm concerned on casting a spell, and I'm going to wait. I'm just going to watch.
All right, there you go. All right, so the two of you kind of fall back slowly, I assume, trying to keep an eye on this algae that seems to be clearly following you. And about midway, you meet two of your comrades coming back. Kalinda, was that your name, Kalinda? The elf on the stump? Clarissa, elf on the stump? Sorry.
Now on the stump.
Karina.
Yeah.
Wait, so my extraordinarily small brain has come to realize that your character names are on your on your camera screenshot here. That'll make things a little bit. All right, so Karina, you are on the stump. What's the plan?
Okay, well, she tells the guy that's out there to grab hold of the rope and start working his way back up, the river along with the rope, and she'll kind of stay behind him at the stump to kind of keep it taut so that he can work up through there and not lax it. But he's going to have to make his way back up through there.
Okay, he's clearly quite terrified, but you've been on the barge with him for 4 or 5 days, and he's a river rat, so he's not unused to the river, its currents, and he's clearly a good swimmer. So with some, though a little bit of trepidation, he grabs a hold of the rope and starts skinnying his way very slowly and methodically across to the guys who are holding him. All right, so the four of you guys group kind of in the middle. Maybe you're probably 600 feet or so from where that outcropping was, and you're about 100 feet from the rest of the party pulling the kid out of the water. What's the plan? Anything? The algae stops following you after a little bit. It appears that maybe there's a current that ended, or you just don't know.
is there some way to bypass the water where the algae is, or do we have to go through the water to get to where this outcrop is?
You could easily, I mean, you could head further, you know, whatever distance you want to move to the right, which would be to the east, and kind of try to loop around it. Certainly you can try that. But to be clear, the water, you know, the whole kind of area is under an inch or two of water.
All right. And it looks like we can outrun the algae regardless. Is that right? I mean, it's kind of just creeping.
It appears on that, yeah. As your experiences tell you to date, yes.
Okay. Then we'll go upstream a little bit and try and cross over there. While we're crossing the water, keep an eye out specifically for this algae since we've just run into it previously.
Okay, is that all four of you? That includes you, Melkor, and Stormforge?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, and also, Edgar will explain why we have run out of the water screaming like little girls, or like a little ranger scared of algae.
It is just algae.
It was attacking us. Okay, it was chasing us and it was creepy.
That's got the danger.
Just ain't natural.
All right, so as you guys begin to move up, the rest of you all manage to get, or I should say, the kid gets across, and he just kind of staggers out, besodden and wet, and profusely thankful for everyone for pulling him out of the water and saving his life.
I actually see if my bedroll is somewhat dry and try to wrap it around him to warm him up some.
Okay. He thanks you. He looks down the river a little bit and mutters something about the barge master was killed, definitely, but he lost sight of his friend.
Did you see anybody else?
His friend got sucked down the river. He didn't see him, but the barge master went down with the barge. That he knows for certain.
Huh. Yeah, it's terrible. I don't know if anybody else is left there. So the barge sunk then?
It rolled. Yeah, he explained to you. It went down about 300 feet, and then it rolled with a current, and it just rolled over. He saw the barge master on it and go under. Everyone else that was on it, including his friend that was the poleman, went down as well. If any survived, he doesn't know.
Yeah, I don't even know if we're going to be able to get to the barge. If it rolled over, it might still be under the water there.
He agrees. He says he agrees. He says that he saw it flip and it went underwater, and he didn't see it again all night or this morning. So it's probably been sucked down into the mist bank or is 30 feet under the water.
Well, I'm glad that you're okay in any case.
He starts thanking you profusely again.
Now we got to figure out what to do next. I heard there's some shouting up the stream here from the companion. We better find out what's going on there.
Karina, I assume you start swimming back over?
Correct. Probably with the help of people kind of pulling her in.
All right, so roll a dexterity check. If you roll horribly, horribly bad, things go wrong. Otherwise, you're good to go. How'd you do it? You got it your hotkey?
Yeah, I got a 20.
Oh yeah, you're good to go. You're good.
Plus the adjustment count.
No one has drowned yet. That's a record in one of my games.
The day is young.
This is true. All right, so the four of you guys moving on up, you went to the left or the right of the algae. So did you go on the river side or the landward side? To be clear, you've got the river on your left as you're going north. The outcrop is north in front of you, and then to your right is just the darkened fold, and you don't know how far the water is going to go in that direction.
Let's take the water side, try and, if the forest is all vicious, and by the way, Bryce, it is, yes. Please give me input if you think I'm wrong here. If we think the forest is evil, bad, then let's try and avoid it. We know what's in the water. We think we can avoid what's in the water. So we'll try and stay in the shallows while we move up north. Hopefully that makes.
Yeah, that seems right to me.
All right, so Edgar and Bryce, you guys are leading off, and Stormforge and Melkor, I assume you're right behind them.
Yeah, I'll follow them kind of at a distance. I don't want to interfere with their tracking or being quiet in my splint mail.
Okay. And then the rest
Oh, Edgar is not trying to be quiet. He's actually making small talk with Bryce. He wants to know why she is called Bryce the Green. Why not Bryce the Brown or Red or something?
Well, Red's my fox because he's red. And Bryce the Green is because my hair is green, you know.
You know, apparently I failed my spot check. I did not know your hair was green. You probably said that and I just didn't catch it. So Edgar is now concentrating on thinking of a color adjective for his name. He will pick one.
I suggest you observe things in their true and natural state, and then the right name will come to you.
There you go.
Thank you. You're a lot more deep than the river next to us. See, that was me trying to be deep, probably failing. So I just keep looking for.
That's fantastic. All right, so you guys are moving on up, looking for this trying to work your way to this outcrop. The rest of you guys, I assume, having rescued this kid, start moving up the river after them. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I want to keep everybody within line of sight. So I'm like, yeah, let's head on up the river here and see what's going on. There's some kind of commotion.
Okay, so everyone in the second group, which is going to be Chuck, Grimfest, Marcos, and Taraka, and Karina, as you guys are moving up, I assume there's no particular marching order. You're just kind of decidedly moving up the river. Each of you give me a spot check.
And spot goes off of which attribute again?
Wisdom.
I got an 18 total.
At 12. I got a 9.
What'd you get, Grimfest?
I'm 9.
I got 10.
24.
We're a bunch.
19 for Karina.
There we go.
Who got the 24?
Marcos.
All right, Marcos,
All right.
you spot it first, and Taraka, you got the 19, right?
No, I got like a 10.
Okay.
Yeah, it was that.
We'll just go with Marcos. Kind of move forward, opening the visor to your great helm to get a little air in on your surcoats and whatnot that are all wet. You notice off to the right, behind you see your four companions in front of you, maybe 200 feet, give or take. And off to your right, you can see this. At first, you pay no attention to it, but it catches your peripheral vision, and you can see this form kind of coalescing behind a tree. So directly in front of you, maybe 200 odd feet, are your comrades. Then to your right, about maybe 100 feet up and 60 feet over behind a tree, you see this form kind of coalescing. It seems to be pulling itself up out of the water along the side of the tree, keeping itself invisible to the four companions in front of you.
That is no good. I pointed out quietly to my companions here, and is there any natural sounds around us? Would doing a classic bird call be too ostentatious?
The sun has just come up, so you've got an innumerable number of birds starting to wake up. So all over the place, you're hearing kind of screeching each other and cawing and like they're wont to do, calling out for food. And so the sound in the forest is actually beginning to ratchet up. So making a bird call would be pretty easy to do.
Okay.
I just when I hear him talk about this and I see this swamp thing, I just shout upriver to my friends. I'm like, behind you, and start pointing in that direction if they notice, if they can hear me.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's just, 200, 300 feet, something like that. It's not too far. So the four of you up front kind of moving forward, as you've just discovered that why Liz why Bryce has names himself the Green. You hear one of your companions shouting behind you, behind you.
All right, since Aldrich already had his bastard sword out, he's going to spin around as fast as he can and just take a guarded stance, and he's going to try to spot whatever is the threat.
You see Owen gesticulating towards this one tree, just kind of pointing in that direction. So hopefully you can maybe see something.
All right, so Bryce, what do you do as soon as you hear someone shouting behind you?
Turn around.
You turn. Edgar, what are you doing? Turning as well?
I'm looking.
All right, Stormforge, you're right up there with Edgar and Bryce. What do you do?
Yeah, I'll turn around and look too, because I'd rolled an 18, so I'll see if I can get a good beat on what's back there coalescing.
Okay, I forgot actually, Melkor, you said you were following behind the other three, right?
Yeah, I was a little bit behind them just to try and not interfere with them being quiet.
Correct. Okay, so we'll assume you're about 50, 60 odd feet, something like that. That good?
Sounds good.
Okay, so...
And I forgot to use my push to talk. I was talking to the screen and not being heard. Edgar will stay the direction we were facing. He will drop to his knee and draw his longbow and look at what is now our back. So, because he thinks maybe we're being ambushed.
You know, that's funny because there was just, when you were talking silently, there's just enough of a delay that someone else's voice was still coming through, so I thought that was you. That's awesome. The technology's almost there.
Yeah, I'm watching you on two different computers, and so it's like watching Japanese animation. Your mouth stops moving, and then you start talking. So it's been great.
Yeah, next time we're going to get this a little bit more perfected. What I'd really like to do is see everybody on the screen, so I'm not looking over here and then, doing this. It's all right.
Hey, Steve, I have a suggestion for you, Steve. You can actually pop that out and drag it maybe over to the other screen. I'm not sure how your setup is, though.
Yeah, I probably could, but it would take me 20 minutes to size everything and fix it all. We'll go with this for now and refine it next time around. Okay, so everyone sees what happens next. You all have kind of stopped and looked in the direction that the paladin originally indicated, and though the three of you in the front don't specifically see it right now, you do a moment later. And you, who is it? Melkor, you're actually closest to the creature. So the creature that's coalescing along on the other side of this tree takes the form of a very, very vague humanoid shape. It's about maybe 5.5, 6 feet tall, extraordinarily thin. It's almost completely green. You can see it's liquid in form somewhat. Seems to be made of this algae. And as soon as, I think, Taraka, you're the one that shouted behind you. As soon as you shout that, the creature pivots, seems to notice you all for the first time. Though it has no real emotion on its face, you can tell there's a bit of rage involved in its sudden forward movement as it's running through the water and towards the 4 or 5 of you guys and the kid that are in the back of the bus.
So as it runs towards us, I just kind of hold up my hands.
In kind of a peaceful gesture, is that what you're?
Yeah, just kind of hold up my hands, not really looking like I'm doing any sort of spell motions or anything. I just have them up out in front of me, just kind of indicating that, we don't mean you harm, sort of thing. I don't really talk to it, though, because I don't assume it can hear us. Well, actually, I know it can hear us, but I don't know if it can understand us. So I just, just hold up my hands in a kind of a peaceful motion.
Okay. Just as a quick informational piece, in the world of Erd, the root language of most languages is Dwarven. So like the Vulgate its root language is Dwarven. Most giants, Dwarven, all of that, most creatures can communicate. So you would have a reasonable assumption to assume that it could understand you. That said, it is an algae water creature, so who knows?
Well, in that case, then, I might just say, friend, in the Dwarven Vulgate common top.
Okay, so I didn't, okay, it does not slow when you shout that. Now, Melkor, you're actually closest to it. As it breaks from the tree, it's probably only 30 feet from where you're standing. But it doesn't pay much attention to you as it pivots on the, what do we got? 6 people with the kid back in the background. So start thinking about what you are going to do, because you're going to get to react first, closest to the guy. But for the 5 of you guys in the back, roll a d6, or roll a d8. Whoever gets the highest happens to be in the front of the party.
7.
I got a 3.
4.
3.
Looks like the elf's the leader.
I got a 1 for some reason.
Grimfast, what did you get?
I got a 9.
All right, so no, you roll a d8. Whoever got the highest on a d8.
Oh, okay. Good, I rolled it.
This is a random roll just to see who's in the front, and it looks like
4.
Chuck, you win.
D6 guy.
Steve, I wasn't clear on who you wanted to roll. Did you want the group searching for the cave to roll, or the group in the water rescuing the kid to roll?
The group behind, the group in the water. Sorry. Yeah. The guys with the kid in the back.
Oh, my bad.
It's all good. Chuck won anyway, so.
Exactly, you can.
All right, so Chuck, you're about 15 feet in front of everybody. You don't actually see Taraka behind you making the friendship gestures or what have you. You do see the paladin is in front of you about maybe 100 feet, give or take. But this creature is barreling right towards you, and you can see every time it hits the water, it sucks in more algae falls out of its body as it's running, leaving this kind of mist behind it. It's just plowing through the water at you. What do you do?
I start the initiative! I begin casting a spell.
Okay.
I'd like to cast Magic Missile.
Okay. Paladin, what are you doing?
I've drawn my longsword and am preparing to defend this group from this unknown threat.
Karina?
Draws her longsword.
Grimfast?
Draws a short sword.
Taraka, you see your entire, despite your peaceful gestures, you see your entire crew pulling blades and summoning magic.
Yeah, I think I am not sure if it's harmful yet, everybody.
That's why we only drew.
You hear me scream, "Die, beast!" It appears that young Wayne is a little paranoid in the woods, even though it's a...
All right, so, Melkor, you actually are closest to the creature. What do you do?
Okay, since I saw it being aggressive and it kind of took me by surprise, and my natural instinct is to fight, I'm just going to charge straight at it with my bastard sword and try and swing through algae.
Okay. All right, so you just barrel at it. All right, so now, Bryce, Edgar, and Stormfort, you guys are about maybe 60 feet in front of where Melkor is. You hear all the commotion behind you, obviously. You're already looking in that direction. You see the algae-like creature come out from behind the tree, and both of you, Bryce and Edgar, you immediately recognize it as the algae that was clinging to your boots a moment ago. So what are your responses? Bryce, what do? You see Melkor pulling blade and charging.
Well, I've already drawn my longbow, so I'll shoot.
All right, so you draw a bead on it. Bryce, what are you doing?
Bryce is with Taraka on this. Let's wait a second.
Okay, so you hold it you're trying to slow everything down. Stormcade?
Yeah.
Stormforge, what are you doing?
I got my battle axe out. I'll start advancing to back up Melkor.
This is precisely why there can be no peace. Two of you are trying to create peace, and everyone else is just going to kill it first. Okay. It's the way of things. All right, so we've got a bow, a magic missile, and a bastard sword already drawn. when it sees you, when it breaks from the tree, Melkor, it sees you obviously as you start to charge it, and it pivots from its charge on the wizard and starts rushing towards you. So before it slams into you, Edgar, you can take a shot, and Wayne, you can go ahead and shoot it with your magic missile. Though to be clear, both the druid and the illusionist have called for wait, let's talk to it. I'm assuming that stops nobody.
Go away, evil creature!
The illusionist, Elwyn was hoping that if Elwyn was attacking, Elwyn might have cast influence on it. And unfortunately, Elwyn's not going to try it if this big attack.
Yeah, Chuck took care of that decision.
Terrified.
Edgar goes to shoot and then hears Bryce the Green and Red say, "Wait." And he goes, "Oh, man," and he lowers his bow.
Okay, so you hold on your shot, but Chuck, I assume that you do not.
7 points of damage.
How much I missed that?
7 points.
All right, the missiles strike it in the side. It doesn't seem to take much notice as it leaps. It actually doesn't leap through the air. It plows through the water right into Melkor. Melkor, give me an initiative.
All right, do I add anything? On the character sheet it says initiative 1, but I thought it was just a straight D10 roll.
Yeah, I use just straight up D10. Don't add your dexter.
6.
You've got the drop on him. As he comes plowing through the water at you, take a swing.
Kill it now!
Grand total of 8.
You do not hit it. You actually do. It slices through the water. The algae in the water clings to your blade. It slows your swing just enough, and it takes enough of your concentration to kind of splatter that Icarus mess off of your sword that you don't damage the creature to your knowledge. And then he swings at you. What's your AC?
Armor class is 17.
You have plate mail on? No, that was the paladin. What kind of armor? You got splint.
Splint mail. And deck.
He pounds you hard in the chest, knocks you back a little bit, wind out just enough to slow you a little bit next round, but you don't take any damage from it. All right, so that ends that round. So beginning the next round, we're going to start with you, Chuck. What are you doing? Actually, everybody give me an initiative, and then don't shout it out, but when I ask your name, just tell me what you got. Chuck, what'd you get?
Oh, wrong game. I got a 9.
All right, what are you doing?
Are
you on a spell?
You know what? Acid arrow his honey and casting acid arrow.
Okay, go ahead and start that, but don't do it just yet. I want to find out what everyone else is doing. Brian, what are you doing?
6.
Okay, what are you going to do this round?
Hold action, I guess, because I don't. Given that someone just swung their sword through it, I'm not sure that there was anything I could do to it if I wanted to hit it.
Okay, Karina, what are you doing? Where'd you get on initiative?
You want an initiative check, right? First?
Yes.
Okay. 6.
Okay, what are you going to do this round?
She's going to charge forward.
All right, moving forward. Edgar, what did you get? Initiative?
So for initiative, it's the D10, right?
Yes, initiative is D10. Edgar, what did you get initiative?
I got a 12.
All right, what are you doing this round? You've got your bow drawn.
I put my bow away and draw up my longsword and hand axe, and I begin moving forward towards the algae. As I pass by Bryce, I go, "Wait!"
Okay. All right, Grimfast, what are you doing?
I rolled a 9, and I advanced forward with my short sword, and I tried to swing at him if I could.
Okay. Well, this round you'll be covering the ground between you and it, but you're moving forward. Marcos, what did you get?
I got a 4 for initiative. Question, how far does my divine aura reach?
What does it do? I can't remember.
The Paladin radiates a divine aura that wards against evil summoned or conjured. The aura conveys a +2 class and saving bonus. Oh, that's to the Paladin.
Yes, I think that's just going to be your person, so if I'm doing something, casting a spell or whatever, it's just against where you are.
Okay. I will advance towards this creature, covering the group.
Okay. Okay, Stormforge, what are you doing? What'd you get initiative?
I got a 1, so I'll say since I'm far enough back and I don't move that fast, and I hesitated because they said wait, I'm slowing down, but I'm catching up, so I'll advance with my axe out.
Okay, and Illusionist, what are you doing?
So the initiative die, the D10, I don't add any modifiers to it, right?
Correct, it's just straight up D10.
Okay, so I rolled a 5, and I'm actually going to do the influence. You know, if I could get it to stop attacking, I'm going to try to influence it with my influence spell.
Sounds good. Do you have the book in front of you?
I do. I mean, it's the first time looking at the spells. But, I'm reading a bit about it. I can cast it on humanoid type things, and right now it's humanoid in its current state. So.
Does it tell you if I get a save?
Let's see here. It says SV Charisma Negate.
All right, yep, that's my save. And let's see. So it looks like he's going to get a +5 because your comrades are attacking it. What did you get on initiative?
That is right. My initiative is a 5.
Okay, all right. So Melkor, what did you? So I'll get to everybody in just 1 second. Melkor, what did you get initiative?
2.
Okay, so he's still swinging at you, and you can see your party beginning to converge on you. But the only ones who are going to actually be able to act this round to help you is the illusionist who's casting a spell and the wizard who's casting a spell. And I think, Chuck, you got like a 7 initiative, so go ahead and do your acid arrow or whatever you were doing.
Yep. May this burn, this scum to the ground. And I'll cast this acid arrow. And I got a 16.
It's a touch attack. It's a touch attack, isn't it? Yep, that got him. So give me some damage.
It'll last for 2 rounds.
I don't know what I'm doing.
7 points.
This hotkey confuses the living crap out of me. I just got to tell you that.
Fix it. We'll fix it later. That's fine. Yeah.
I'm just sitting here talking and nothing's going on.
Fine. It's fine.
All right. So your acid arrow strikes into the creature. Seems to course through the algae, and you can see it burning some of the algae off, having a little bit of effect at least. But it doesn't slow it down so much that it avoids punching or attempting to punch Melkor. 17 AC?
Yeah.
He gets you this time. He hits you again hard in the chest, knocks you back for 9 points of damage. Go ahead and take your swing, and then simultaneously, illusionist, you're casting the spell. Melkor, what'd you get to hit?
All right, I got a 16.
That hits.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Did the 16 hit?
I'm sorry. I don't think I put the hotkey down. Yes, the 16 hits. This is a new one on me.
Only 3 points of damage.
All right, you carve into it, damaging the algae somewhat. All right, so I'm going to make a charisma save against the illusionist's influence. All right, so what are you saying, illusionist? You don't know whether it's worked or not, but clearly you're casting the spell. So what are you trying to influence it to do? To stop attacking or what?
Well, I see it has the spell has a range of 25 feet, so if I wasn't in range, I'm going to be moving up towards it.
You are not. Yeah, you're still about 100 feet off. So you're moving forward this round.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna, move quickly as I can to try to get up to cast this.
Okay, so this next melee round, so far as I can tell, everybody is running forward except Chuck. I think he was casting a spell last round. Other than that, everybody is attempting to close in on this creature. So you're going to be able to do it in kind of these wave effects. Melkor, I want you to roll initiative first, unless someone's doing a ranged attack. Melkor, I want you to roll initiative. We're going to do our round, and then everybody else is going to be able to come in. Actually, everyone's going to roll initiative, and the top three will get to swing as well. Sound good?
Sounds good. I got a 4.
All right, we are swinging simultaneously.
All right. I rolled the 11.
The 11 misses. You carve through the creature again. It staggers back somewhat, whether taking it back from your attempted blow or this onrush of armor and flesh coming at it, you can't tell. It hits you across the top of your head for 3 points of damage, but steps back just enough. So everybody else running forward, which I think is everybody but the druid and the wizard, give me an initiative, and the top 3 are going to actually be able to close and swing. The others didn't move fast enough to get to the creature.
Edgar got a 12.
You're rolling a D10.
Yes, sir.
How'd you get a 12?
I have a +2 on my initiative. At least that's what my character sheet says.
Oh, I'm sorry. We don't do any. In my game, I don't do any bonuses on initiative, so it's just straight up.
Okay, with that, I get a 10.
Still pretty good.
Grimfast got a 9.
Grimfast and Edgar.
Karina got a 6.
Going forward, what'd you get?
I got a 10 as well.
And Tarakas, I assume you're slowing and to cast your spell?
Yeah, I rolled a 3 for my initiative anyway, so it's still going to be late.
All right, so Edgar, Grimfast, and these cameras keep moving. And Stormforge, you all close. Go ahead and swing.
I had AC 18. If that's a hit, I did 5 damage with my battle axe.
That hit. You carve through it. More of the algae kind of splatters across the ground. Grimfast, how'd you do?
I wrote 21,
That hit.
and if it hits, 9.
Edgar?
I leap forward yelling, "Aha!" and I miss wildly with my longsword, but I hit with my hand axe.
All right. The blade goes wild. It's carving into the creature's thigh with the axe.
Doing 4 points of damage.
All right. Creature staggers back, but he does not fall. Tarakas, you close. Chuck, you still with us? Chuck?
Yeah, I came back. I rolled a 3.
Okay, well, everybody's active but you and the illusionist and the druid. Are you casting another spell? Be advised that you've got 4 people surrounding this creature.
You know what? See what buff I have. I have no buff. That's good. No danger to me. I've casted those 2 spells. Let's do this. I'm going to charge with my staff and attack the beast.
All right, so you're closing. So this round you're running across the clearing. Illusionist, are you casting the spell? The creature is being pounded quite a bit. It's clearly going to impact your ability to influence it.
Yeah, I decide, I don't know if I can change what I was going to do, but I'm yelling again as I'm running up, going, stop fighting. Am I within range now to cast the spell, or?
Yes, you are.
Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and cast it. And let's see here. Quick question. Do we have alignment in Castles of Crusade?
You do. They're just like in Dungeons & Dragons or any of the others, so I'm assuming it's on your character sheet.
I didn't see it on my character sheet. Maybe I didn't look in the right spot.
It may not be there.
Yeah.
It's right below the ring.
Well, just I wanted to use it kind of to help me decide what I was going to do. But anyway, I'm actually going to, when I cast the spell, I also continue saying stop fighting, hoping now that this thing can understand me. And actually, I'm going to actually move in between the people attacking and this creature to kind of, get him to stop fighting. So I'm going to have a hand up towards the creature, a hand up towards my companions if I can get into range after I cast the spell, and just try to get them to stop. I'll be like, stop fighting.
Okay, so this round you're casting the influence spell, and the next round you're going to try to weave your way into it and kind of break it up.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so Chuck, did you act? No, you're running forward with your staff. Bryce, you have not acted this round.
Not yet.
Are you holding your action?
No, Bryce will start running forward, and does Bryce have time to, well, I presume it's okay to shout and move in one round?
Absolutely. You can always talk in any other action you're taking, unless it's a spell that requires, verbal. You can always shout, scream, yell, all that stuff.
Yeah, Bryce is going to try shouting in Sylvan, like, stop, 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 and see if the creature responds.
Okay. All right, so you're moving forward doing that, but you're not casting a spell specifically. You're just trying to calm the creature down while the illusionist is trying to influence.
Yeah, and get in closer range.
All right, now I got to read something. Give me 30 seconds. I got to figure out who wrote this monster. It sounds very much like a David monster. I'll read you the description when we get there. All right, so it calms just a little bit. It turns to the illusionist at first, as it's kind of, I think it swung and missed at Melkor. It turns to the illusionist, and there's this moment, this ever so fleeting moment of hesitation in the creature's demeanor, and then as Bryce is running forward and she's shouting as well, it pivots and looks in that direction. Of course, keep in mind that this is a fray. Everybody's gathered around, dodging, moving, swinging, putting hands up, holding, all the stuff that goes on in any kind of fight. But all of you guys up front kind of notice this oddity in the creature's, reactions or whatnot. But we've all acted this round, so beginning next round, first illusionist, give me an initiative for you, because you're actually physically trying to move in the middle of all of this, correct?
Yes. So you want me to roll first?
Yeah, just roll first so I have in mind how quickly you can do that.
I rolled a 10.
That's fairly fast. So, all right, so for the rest of you, just give me an initiative, and I'll start with Chuck and ask you what you're doing, and I'll ask you what your initiative is and what you're doing.
My initiative is 6.
All right, so what are you doing?
I am swinging my staff at the beast.
Okay. Karina?
A 7, trying to get into combat.
All right, so you're closing in. That's right. You were a little bit behind. Okay, I don't know what I did.
Yep, that's correct.
Edgar?
I rolled a 3. He hesitates for a moment because the creature seems to be responding to the druid, but he also looks at the illusionist like, "Are you freaking nuts? You get chopped in half jumping in the middle of a fight like that."
But you actually hold your action just enough so that you might go at the end of the round, but you're letting the illusionist just at least put himself in harm's way.
Yes.
All right, Grimfast, what are you doing? Initiative, and what are you doing?
I rolled an 8, and I'm going to hold my attack just to see if something happens too.
Okay, Marcos?
Marcos got a 9, and I'm with two of my companions urging peace. I am going to take a cautious defensive stance, ready to quickly engage if combat continues.
All right, so fall back just a smidgen and slow, also allowing the illusionist to weave his way in. Melkor, what did you get initiative, and what are you doing?
I rolled an 8 as well, and since I'm kind of hurt now, I'm going to be kind of clutching my wounds and staggering back and having my sword ready to attack if this new peace summit thing doesn't work out.
All right, that's good. Stormford?
I got a 3, so yeah, I'll hold off as this thing looks like it's gonna hold up its attack. But if it does get aggressive again, then I'll jump on it and swing it.
All right, so Chuck, you're leaping into the fray to swing.
That's right. I have my dragon staff.
Okay, so several things are happening. Illusionist, you can tell everyone's slowed somewhat as the druid closes in. The creature's pivoting just a little bit. Everybody is a little bit backing off except the wizard. The wizard is coming in full bore. He's magical staff in hand, and he's fixing to clap the creature. You have a couple of options. You can shout, try to stop him, or you can make a dex check to see if you jump in front of it, to take the blow from the creature, or whatever.
I'll go ahead and make the dex check first. So, just to see what I can do as far as maneuvering. So, let's see, to do the dex check, is it just a straight up D20 plus the mod plus, let's see.
Yeah, so add your level, your bonus, and if it's a prime, add 6 to it.
Okay, so it is one of my prime attributes. So let me roll a d20. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I rolled a 12 on that. Plus 5 for the level, 17. Plus 1 for the mod is 18. Plus 6 is 24.
You easily interject your way between the raving arcane wizard. So what's your armor class?
My armor class is just 12, and I'm wearing no armor.
All right, so Chuck, as you're closing in, the druid or the illusionist leaps between you and this creature, or is attempting to. Part of your brain's already in full, combat mode. The other part saying, "Wait, slow down." So either you swing, or you're going to make a check to see if you can hold off on your swing because you're too far gone. You know what I'm saying?
Well, check me.
We're going to go with, you're a wizard?
Yeah.
We're going to go with an intelligence check on that to see if you can to hold off on your swing.
I mean, he is illusionist, which is a inferior school of magic compared to arcane, but that's fine. Let me think about this a minute. All right. I'll try the check. I gave him a 30%. All right, so he sees illusionist on the front.
That's old school right there. That's some old school stuff.
I rolled a 20, not natural.
Okay, so you can hold off on the swing if you are inclined, and I assume you are inclined. Very, very reluctantly, the wizard holds his swing and does not clap the illusionist at the top of the head. And as he does so, the druid, Bryce, you move up between the others, I assume, and the illusionist, you're right there. And the creature backs off somewhat. Still in an aggressive stance, but it appears to have held its attack.
All right.
What now?
So Bryce will keep talking to it. Oh, sorry. Bryce will keep talking to it in Sylvan.
Okay.
And just explain that we're just passing through. We just are looking for a place to dry off. We aren't trying to invade.
It backs off a little bit, and you can tell the creature. I'm just looking at it. Actually, give me a wisdom check.
Sure.
Go ahead.
16, 18, 18.
You can tell that the creature clearly, I mean, now it's perhaps an elemental that you can't tell, but it's clearly made of algae, this type of plant life. So it's not going to be carnivorous. It's not going to kill any of you and eat you. That doesn't mean it's not going to kill you. It just means its motivations can't be one of hunger, if that makes sense.
So it's probably territorial defending its territory then?
That is a very reasonable assumption, Ranger, yeah, absolutely.
Edgar feels like a jerk for attacking this thing. We are trespassing.
Well, now, it did punch Melkor in the head.
Yeah, Grillfest doesn't feel bad.
Melkor had it coming.
Well, look at it like this.
Well, and
We know how it's going to react now. We've learned something.
Yeah. We've learned that the illusionist almost got clocked in the head with a dragon.
So, Bryce, are you able to fully communicate with this thing? Man, I don't hear it answering. I know you're talking to it. It seems to understand. Are you getting any kind of actual, like, other than, like, movement response?
Not that I've seen so far, but Sylvan seems to be the trick.
Yeah, it's definitely the language has calmed it somewhat, but it has, like, the Ranger is astute, and you are as well. It hasn't actually responded vocally or made even any kind of gestures one way or the other.
Edgar will sheath his weapons and back up.
All right, start moving towards that promontory. Is that the idea, Edgar?
Yes, if we're out of hostility and it's not going to jump on us again, then Edgar will turn around, head back the way we were going, and continue towards the rock out.
All right, creature has no specific reaction. Let's start with you, Chuck. What are you doing?
I'm going to take a round just to back up and assess what's going to happen here. I want to wait and see what happens. I don't want to get fussed at anymore. I'm being aggressive.
Karina, what are you doing?
She'll resheath her sword and begin to move forward.
Towards the creature or away in the direction with Edgar?
Yeah, in the direction the group's moving.
Okay. And Grimfast?
I do the same. I don't actually sheath the sword, but I do put it down and I back up with the rest of the group.
Okay, Marcus?
Same as Grimfast, backing up cautiously, but not sheathing the weapon just yet.
Okay, keeping on the guard. Melkor?
Yeah.
Melkor, same thing?
Yeah, I'm going to keep my weapon out. I'll kind of drop it low so that the blade's almost on the ground and just back up. But I'm still holding my wounds and kind of scowling at this thing.
Okay. Stormford?
So I'm going to kind of stay where I'm at, keep my axe down, but in sort of a guarded, ready position, and just watch our periphery and just make sure nothing else is sneaking up on us.
Give me a spot check. Taraka, what do you do?
So Evelyn actually at this point, it's just like, what is up with everybody? You know, why are we fighting this thing? We don't even know what it is. And then I kind of turn to it, and I actually hold out my hand, palm up, just extend my arm, palm up, in front of me towards it, just to see how it's going to respond.
It backs up a little bit, and though it looks at you, it looks actually first at Bryce. I mean, not first. It looks at you, then it looks at Bryce, and it's still in sort of an aggressive stance. Bryce, before I get to you, Stormforge, what did you get on your spot check?
Total was a 20, not natural.
Okay, just looking around, you can see behind you, at least in two spots. Keep in mind that the whole kind of area is covered in a couple of inches of water. You can see behind you where you came before, two large pools of algae kind of gathered. All right, so with that knowledge, Bryce, so the creature turns to you when the illusionist speaks to it again. What do you do?
I'll repeat what the illusionist said in Sylvan.
All right, illusionist, what was it you said? Now I can't remember.
Well, I was kind of more reprimanding my group. I was just saying, what is up with you, you know? And as far as the creature, I just held out my hand, kind of just palm up, to see what its response would be. I kind of trying to evoke a sort of like a hand clasp sort of response, but palm up in the sense that it's not I'm opening, not threatening gesture. with my hands open and kind of just towards it extended.
Okay, Bryce, you notice, actually give me a wisdom check, Bryce.
Sure. 22, 26.
You notice that the creature takes, like I said, it takes a slightly more aggressive stance when the illusionist puts his hand out. And it calls to mind, like, you know, we all want wild animals that look cute to be nice, but they're not. They're frequently extraordinarily aggressive. Even squirrels can be extraordinarily aggressive. So when he puts his hand out, you get the idea, just being a druid and in tune with nature, that this creature is having a very almost primeval response to even the hand being put out. As if you were to put your hand out to a wild wolf, it's as easy to get bit as to chase the wolf off. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Bryce will say to Elowen, we should probably just let it be. We're intruders on its space, and it's not a friendly forest to begin with.
Yeah, and at this point,
Oh, I know, that's true.
the two
That's
algae
true.
pools I see behind us, which could be more of these creatures getting ready to flank us.
So you're letting us know that you see them?
Right. Yeah, because if it got aggressive like that, then it could be just lulling us into a false sense of security, and then we get attacked from behind, which I don't want to happen.
Well, Bryce, you're right. Maybe this thing isn't friendly, but let's just try to back away and see what happens now.
Agreed.
We'll just kind of walk backwards. I see some of us if we're heading up the river. Let's just all back away, but slowly. We don't want it to think we're scared.
Grimfast backs up, but also now that he's reminded about how fierce squirrels are, he's out on the lookout for squirrels as well.
You gotta watch out for those squirrels.
Come out of nowhere.
Hey, give a second. I don't know if you saw my Skype message, but check your personal Skype. Give a second.
I did not. Hold on.
Anyway, I'm gonna have my staff out and I'm just watching because I'm not comfortable. I'm an urban elf. I'm not comfortable with these woods at all.
And Marcus will be backing up with the group towards the outcropping, urging the boy to stay close to him, and responding to the illusionist's question of what's happening to the group. Our group is large, and the single entity appeared in a suspicious manner and then aggressively ran towards a much larger group. I immediately am thinking that it's not a friendly encounter.
I think it was just startled.
Well, it was probably startled when I stepped on it in the water, but when it went over to the tree and then attacked, that it stopped being startled at that point.
But it was hiding behind the tree.
I took that as a attempt to be hidden, and it's a negative towards the group that was ahead that it was hiding from.
It could have just been frightened.
So are you all having this philosophical debate while you're walking, or are you standing there?
Oh, we're backing up slowly. I look to make sure I don't trip over a stump or a rock or something as I'm backing.
Edgar is walking towards the outcrop, and he was speaking over his shoulder, and now he's left the conversation and is focused on moving towards the outcrop. And as he passes Bryson Red, he looks down and says, "Yes, I know she was wrong."
This is probably a continuation of a conversation that's been going on for about 6 weeks now.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds very accurate.
Yeah, Bryce will turn to follow Edgar.
All right. So, and as you're having this discussion, making your way toward that outcrop, Storm Forge was correct. Two more of these creatures begin to kind of coalesce, and they too appear very aggressive in their stance and whatnot. And Bryce, it occurs to you what you said earlier is probably accurate. You were in their territory, and now that you're exiting it, they're less likely to attack. But I assume we all head to the outcrop at this point?
Yes. Yep.
Free of that encounter, you managed to work your way to the outcrop in about 15 minutes. It's probably 300 or 400 feet wide. It's a good 30 feet above the ground. It's just these rocks that rise out of the plain there, some scrub oaks growing out of them here and there. There's actually plenty of fresh water kind of gathered in little spots on the rocks, so you can replenish your water and all this business, get a little fire going if you want. So it would be, though it's early in the morning, it would be an ideal place to camp and dry equipment and decide what you're going to do next.
Once we get everything set up, I'll use my survival skill to try and set the fire, some kind of racks we can dry our clothing and boots and all that. I'm trying to produce a fire that will be more heat than smoke, if possible. Dig a small hole in the ground, put the fire inside the hole. I don't want whatever's living in the forest to see the smoke and come checking to see what's going on.
All right, that sounds good. So you take extra care to get dry limbs or what have you, no leaves and all of that business, get the fire going. It takes you guys about an hour to get kind of set up, clothing dried, clothes kind of hanging out. Sun is up. At this point, it gets to about, by 9 in the morning or so, it gets to a good 65, 68 degrees, just nice and sunny. I'm going to take a 2-minute break, and you guys decide whether you want to go cross the river soon or if you want to go north of Girthap Falls and cross at the fords. Remember, there was a ford north on the river to the right, which is the Westerling, and then the river to the left, which is the Washita, or if you want to try to get across the river at some point before that. All right? And I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
During this,
I gotta run take a bio break myself. I'll be right back.
During this little hour rest at camp so far, I'd like to take a look at Aldrich and figure out what potential options are for healing. I do see that I have a lay on hands, and I know it's per day.
Be right back.
This is my first time playing, and I don't know how valuable that resource is and how much I should expend at this point.
Take a look at the rule book.
I don't know if there's any downtime healing or things like that that are.
I think it was really, like you heal, 1 hit point a day? I don't know. Chuck, do you have a comment on the healing?
Oh, sorry. Bear with me, guys. I'm actually doing my other job, too. I should not have signed up today, unfortunately. You have a man down. Well, what was your question?
My paladin has the lay on hands healing capability, and I know one of our party members got hurt. And if I remember, healing in Castles and Crusades is like 1 hit point a day, or it's slower than.
That's for resting, and that's also variable. It's also rules is written at 1 point per day. But for a paladin, you have a pool of hit points you can.
Yep, it says I have 8 available.
Right, and you can decide how much you want to use. Now, whether he'll give you a bonus for your level, that would be up to him when he gets back. I do that in my game.
Okay.
Anything that's divine magic. Typically magic, I like to give levels because this game is designed, in a way to where as you get a higher level, you kind of need those extra pluses. You know what I mean? It's just real simple that way. But it also helps with the fact that people can fail, high level characters can fail low level fails too, which is kind of. That's what I would do. I would ask if he gives you a bonus or anything for level for doing your level.
Okay. And am I the only character with healing capabilities?
I think you are.
I have first aid, so I can stop bleeding and prevent further damage, but it doesn't heal any hit points back.
So, wonderful. And looking at the book here, it says that the healing cannot be divided among multiple recipients. So I don't know if that's something you want to ask Steve about.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, I'll wait till Steve gets back then.
Because it kind of suggests that it's a one-time thing. I guess. Once per day, I guess so, yeah, so you couldn't do that. So that's your answer right there. It's going to be 8 plus level if you let you have it.
Okay.
Now, we do have, some of us have bandages, which are typically 2 hit point healing. I like to use first aid as a bandage because it's basically the same thing. I just make it a bandage spell, you know? So, but that's up to him again, too. I don't know. Very good questions, actually.
So as far as determining what we want to do, any ideas?
Anybody got anything that can potentially help us here, from a druidic standpoint?
Yeah.
Once we're all dry, I think we should definitely keep heading up this above the falls there. We don't have to get to the water. I mean, if we're going to stay here and dry, there's no point in trying to get all wet.
I'm looking at Speak with Animals right quick. That is, I think, the druidic option I have that would be the most interesting way to maybe get some intel on where to cross. But give me 1 second to see how it works.
I missed half the conversation. I just got back up. Edgar doesn't really care which way we go, but he does want to see the waterfalls. So if it's an option, that's what he wants to do.
From the beginning of our trip and just looking over the map, I think our safest path per se would be to try to find those fords. I would rather not want to brave the river unless we can find a spot that's narrow enough that, given the rope we have, we could effectively create a rope bridge we could pull ourselves across on. But that, to me, is a large risk, especially with the high waters and fast current. And we don't know what's in the river, given the flooding, either.
So I could also speak with animals. That does do what it says on the tin, and see if any of the local wildlife can give us advice or recon on the state of the river.
That's a good idea.
Sounds good to me. A rope bridge won't be a problem for Edgar. He can tie one. The river is, Steve said the river's 70 feet deep at points. I don't know. I have no idea how swift it is or how wide it is. So the rope bridge is an option, but maybe should be an option lower on the rope.
Yeah, I think the fords might be our best.
Okay, yeah, the Mist Vein is the one that's particularly deep. The Washita is a little bit less so, but it's still a good 20 to 30 feet deep. It's pretty stout. And the current here is, you can tell it's moving swiftly, though it's a little bit placid because it's so broad because of the rain. So Bryce, was the idea you're going to cast Animal Friendship?
Yeah, I was going to find some local animals and try asking them where is safe to cross.
Are you going to do that here, or are you going to do that up a river? Just to let everybody know, if you look at that map, it's probably about 25 miles between where you're standing and the H.
Steve, I lost your audio there at the end. You said I heard 25 miles, and then I lost.
Okay, it's between where that red dot is on the map, and the H is roughly of Hess Perch. You see where it says Hess Perch just north of you? That's roughly 25 miles.
And is that where we think the fort site is, or that's where the waterfall is?
Well, you're not certain on the waterfalls. Those presumably are near the apex with the confluence of these two rivers, but you're not certain. The fords themselves are probably 10 miles north of the confluence of the two rivers.
Cool. well. Edgar brightens up the prospect of that because that means that the waterfalls will be seen by us. So he's happy with that. So it doesn't matter to him where we cross then after that point, as long as everyone gets across safe, he's happy. And if it's 25 miles up to the H and the confluence of the two rivers is 10 miles past that, or the ford side is 10 miles past that, so we're looking at 35 to 40 miles. How do you guys want to push to get there in one day? Or is this going to be a 2 or 3 day trip for us? How do you guys want to travel?
I think we're going to need to keep our stamina up, so let's not push ourselves too much. We don't know what else we're going to run into. Our friend here who's injured, he's going to need some time to heal.
Yeah, and that brings me back to something we discussed while you were out, Steve. It appears I'm the only character that has any form of a healing capability, and it says I can heal 8 points per day, and is this something I should do now, or I'm used to 5th edition with a lot more healing options, and I don't know how valuable this particular resource is.
It's extraordinarily valuable. Yeah, so in C&C you've got, and in the original printing we did basically the cleric and the paladin. Of course, the cleric gets the standard heal spells, blah, blah, blah. And the paladin had his. In the 4th printing, I think, because healing is enough of it can be challenging, especially when you get higher level, we added the illusionist has the ability to heal as well. He can cast spells that convince those people that are being healed that they're healed. So that added a little bit to it. But even at high level, it can be a rough road without enough healing. So in the Adventurer's Backpack, we put in even more healing options and stuff that you can do. But as it stands right now, yes, you are the only one capable of healing wounds, and you can do that once a day. So it's like 9 in the morning. If you do it now, you're not going to be able to do it again until tomorrow, until you've slept and got back up.
How badly wounded is our friend?
The one you
I'm about 25%.
Hey, Steve, I got a couple of questions for you. Can you give him a level bonus on his healing?
I can. Why would I do that?
I mean, some people, I do. I give them, I give any kind of spell casting, like for divine and stuff, I give them zip per level.
I think y'all can
That's
help.
just like,
Follow up on my specific question. Does the healing have to be on the one recipient? It says it in this, and I can't break that apart into separate recipients, correct?
That is correct. So Chuck,
well, in my mind,
your generosity, but no.
In my mind, let's get our group back to 100%. That way, we're ready to take on whatever's going to happen later.
Well, just one thing to consider too, though, is if somebody gets dropped, the only way to bring them back is probably with that ability. And was that 25% down on health, or was that 25% less on health?
25% down. And another question we had is that you heal 1 hit point overnight, and if so, does that mean like when you're in a comfortable place overnight, not soaking wet in the fall in the middle of the woods?
Well, you want me to go by the way I do it on my Thursday night game?
Yeah, let's go with that.
I'm pretty stout with the healing, so you're gonna have to rest for 24 hours without doing anything. You can eat, cook, clean yourself and whatnot, but you've got to rest, and then you get 1 hit point. If you do that for 7 days, you get 1 hit point plus your Constitution bonus. So healing, it can be it can be tough. One of the things that I do, obviously, I need to start scheduling these games for longer, but it's kind of when I'm running a game, it's kind of a grinding effect. If you've got 40 or 50 hit points and you take 3 or 4 and you're able to heal a little bit, but after 2 or 3 games, I think Mac ran his Ranger for 7 sessions, which is we play every Thursday, and he at no point was he max heal in any of those sessions because they just couldn't get healing enough before he got wounded to keep going. And it adds this level of stress to playing the character that is, it can be challenging and fun. So
I like the
Yeah, but
challenge.
it adds some realism too, because you're out and going around. You're never really going to get fully rested up. So I mean, it makes for a great game.
Yeah, and you're right though. It's very realistic. It's hard to rest, especially when it's wet and cold and all of that mess.
I think the military taught us that, huh, Steve?
Yes, it did. You did learn you could sleep anywhere, though.
Well, you learn it real fast when you get trapped in the nodes in Temple of Elemental, or Return to the Temple, or the Temple of Elemental Evil. You're not resting at all.
Exactly. You're just slowly bleeding out. So you healed him. You healed Melkor for 8. Was that correct?
Well, we were still debating on if that's something that needs to happen now. My feeling is yes, let's get you back to full health, but I will ultimately leave that to Aldrich.
Let me ask real quick. Somebody mentioned bandages or first aid skill. Would that be something that we could use? Because, like someone else said a minute ago, the magical healing might be very useful if somebody actually goes down.
Okay, so bandages, the way bandages work, and this is in the Adventurer's Backpack. I'm not sure how your characters were made, but I created a set of rules where if you apply bandages to a wound, because the bandages have healing ointments in them, et cetera, it heals 1 to 2 points of damage just by putting the bandages on.
And the first aid skill that our druid mentioned?
Is that a spell? I believe first aid is a spell. So what we're going to do is that if you read the book, the player's handbook, that spell was written only for my game because I do bleeding damage. If you take a wound and you don't bandage it, you continue to take damage. I'll have characters every time they move for a full day, I'll just tell them you take 2 more points of damage because your wounds are bleeding. This type of stuff. So when Mac wrote the first aid spell, it was specifically for that. So unless you're actually playing the game and using bleed damage, first aid is utterly pointless in Castles and Crusades. So what I'm going to do for the 8th printing, which we're up to, I'm going to change that spell where it will heal much like a bandage, 1 to 2 points of damage. So if you cast that age,
Much harder than my game. It's good.
Who has bandages?
So is it all right if we use first aid as the bandage?
you can use bandages and the first aid and heal him up to, what did I say, 2 to 4, I guess.
Sure. So I have first aid, so that would be easy for me to do, and then we can save Marcos's lay on hands.
My character has 3 bandages on her. Not that I want to share, but I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I think the first aid's kind of unlimited. I mean, you could use first aid across multiple characters. Just to, at least they got, they're not bleeding.
All right, so I guess, but you're the only one wounded, Melkor, so I'm assuming that someone's going to bandage you, and then Bryce is going to do the first aid on you, and so you're going to get 2 to 4 hit points. Just go ahead and roll what you heal, so 2 to 4, whatever that is.
2d4 or 2-2-4?
2-2-4, yeah. Very fine distinction.
All right, I healed 3. I'm sorry, I healed, I guess I just rolled a...
Yeah, I don't know how you would roll 2 to 4. I don't know if you're going to be a D3 or D6. 1, 2 is 2. I don't know.
Yeah, I did a D6 and I rolled a 5, so I was just assuming...
Yeah, it works.
Let's just go with 3.
I'm pretty sure Zaki has a D3 dice somewhere, but I don't know.
If you ever use Roll20, in there you can define the number of sides of the dice, and so it'll actually generate whatever number.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's on the list. Chuck's going to teach me, what is it, Chuck? Fantasy Grounds first, and then Roll20. So we'll slowly evolve into that. That's the plan.
Fantasy Grounds is more complicated anyway, so that's a good one to get under your belt.
Well, I'm still struggling with this hotkey, so let's I gotta get that. Okay, so the question, Bryce, back to you. You guys have got probably, if you're going to move at a decent pace, because you don't really have any paths or trails, unless you tell me otherwise, it's going to take you about a day, 2 days to get to the confluence, and maybe another half day to get to the fords. So are you going to cast this spell, Friendship with Animals, today, tomorrow, or you can do it both days, obviously?
If we know we're going to head towards the confluence, then it seems like we should just ask there, unless anyone else disagrees.
Sounds like a good
problem with
idea.
that.
All right, I assume everybody's good with that. So you all camp this day, I assume, or are you going to camp or set off in the afternoon?
We just want to make sure everything's dry.
By about 1
and
in
we
the
have a place
afternoon,
to come back.
you guys are dried out by about 1 in the afternoon. So you got about 5-6 hours of daylight left.
We definitely have a group scout on up the river then and plan our, the next part of our journey from as far as they get. And we can certainly follow along, but they can mark out another campsite maybe for the end of the day, that sort of thing. So we basically kind of have these base points that we can look from or regroup at if we get separated.
So you're wanting to send someone forward?
What's everyone think of that?
Yeah. Edgar doesn't have any problem at all moving ahead. In fact, that sounds great to him. How far up do you want me to move? Am I moving up, finding a place, and coming back? What does the group want Edgar to do? And didn't we have a second ranger in the group, or did that change?
No, you do. It is Karina.
Somebody was playing the female illustrated
Yes.
ranger in the beginning, or said they were going to?
Jim, I think. Oh, damn it. Jim, I was talking to Jim about the hotkey. Jim, I think Karina is a ranger. Yes, half-elf ranger.
Yeah, I think we just want to keep looking for places that we're safe. We want to have one by the end of the day, so you don't need to go further than that, unless we're setting up camp there, and then you can scout around it to make sure, we're going to be safe through the night. But, the idea would be for us to keep moving, too. We don't really need to leave anybody here. As far as we know, this is a good place to come back to if we need to, but hopefully we can find another place to set up camp as we get towards dark. Now that we've eaten and everything, we can all continue along as long as the people go ahead and kind of find the best route and everything. That'll help us all save energy.
All right, so the question is, are the Rangers going forward?
I would recommend that we do that.
Yeah, I agree. We should all move forward, and a bare minimum, always have a buddy system.
Yeah, they should lead the way.
How far forward are the Rangers going to be?
Head out 2 hours early, or that's really my question. I mean, so are the two rangers and Bryce and Red, are you coming with us? So are we leaving early and then you're going to follow after us, and then so when the two rangers find a place that we like to camp, we're going to set up camp and you're going to catch up to us?
How about this? Bryce can send Red back as a messenger if we find a good camping spot. So I'll come with you to scout it out, and then when and if we find something, I'll send Red back to get the rest of the team.
Well, hopefully Red won't confuse us with other information. What sort of things can Red do to let us know? Do you have you taught Red to do different things or different messages?
Not obviously. I think Red's options are appear and bark and track.
Okay, so can Red do a number of barks?
Is that all right with you, Steve?
Yeah, you can communicate to the fox enough to at least get some kind of rudimentary message back to your party to follow it.
1 bark means come, 2 barks means stay, and 3 barks means danger.
And 4 barks means Timmy's stuck in the well.
Yeah.
So for 3 barks, Danger, do you want us to come then? Because 2 barge speeds that we probably should stay here. But 3 barge speeds, we should probably all get there as quickly as possible to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's settled in. Onward we go. Well, we're going to warm up a bit. Onward you go.
Yeah, so the three Greenpeace people start heading up the river. I make it clear that we are sticking to the river. You'll be easy to find us. So give us 2 hours and then start following after us. And by the time you catch up to us, we'll have camp set up.
Yeah, I suddenly visioned, I can't remember what it is in the Holy Grail, where he keeps trying to convince him to stay behind, but everyone keeps following him every time he tries to, no, you stay here. And everyone keeps going with him. All right, so.
We stay here until you leave the room.
Yeah, it's the guards, right, it's the 2 guards. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, in Swamp Castle.
In the Swamp Castle. I love that scene. All right, so the 2 Rangers, Druid, Fox, head out, a couple of like 3 in the afternoon or something, or I guess now, I suppose, and then the rest of you are going to leave a couple of hours after that. Is that what I'm to gather?
Yeah, we want to make sure that we catch up with them. We could have somebody investigate around here, as long as they stay within earshot, but they can just make sure that, we have a safe campsite, so the Rangers come back, we know that we're going to be safe here for the night, potentially, as long as we have a watch.
Okay. Okay, so somewhere around 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the afternoon, the 2 Rangers, Druid, head off up following the bank as Edgar noted, and the rest of you guys are going to hang out for a little bit. You guys move up, the Rangers, Druid move up a few miles. The going is relatively slow because you're hugging the bank of the river. You're still a little bit in the water. It's not too bad. The further north you get, it starts to dry out as you clip away a couple of miles. About 3 miles upriver from the outcropping, maybe 4 miles, give or take. So it's sometime mid-afternoon, and your party's going to be following here soon if they haven't already. You guys spot a giant on the other side of the river. You see him. He's paying 0 attention to what's going on around him. It appears to be a hill giant. It's got a large, bedraggled net in its hand, and it's trying to fish in the river there.
Here we go. Fishing in the river.
The giant is fishing. But you're not there, Chuck. It's just Bryce, Edgar, and Karina.
Just want to clarify the flavor. Yeah, okay.
Edgar will crouch down and whisper to the other 2. I think maybe we should wait here for the group to catch up to us. I have no intention of attacking the hill giant. My worry is that if we move on 2 hours from now, the giant may still be here. And if he sees our companions, it may attack or something might happen, and then we're 2 hours away and not able to help. So do we cut off into the forest some, trying to avoid the giant, maybe mark the trail for them, or do we wait here?
We could try, so Bryce will also crouch down to try to stay out of sight. We could try calling them up now so that we just take our luck as a party and don't wind up trying to deal with the logistics.
That works for me.
Why don't the 2 Rangers move on along the edge of the trees to kind of stay out of his vision, and let Bryce stay there and wait for the group to keep them from moving out to where they can see her, then she can bring them forward after that, and we can continue to make time. If we stop now and wait for them, they're 2 hours behind us. That's 2 hours for them to get up, basically, and then we're going to try and get 2 hours out ahead of them. They're going to be sitting there for a while.
Okay.
Well, once the group caught up to us, I hadn't planned on splitting up again. But I'm fine with Bryce going back to get the group.
So it just needs to be read.
Or staying here, staying here while the two Rangers move up. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I could send Red with you, and you could send Red back if there's trouble.
That would work.
Okay.
I just want to be clear so that everybody knows you guys have got several miles between the two parties. If any one party gets attacked, the other party is in no way going to be able to help it before the combat is long finished. You all know that instinctively.
Right, that's why I wanted to wait here until the giant either goes away or until the rescue group catches up so that they don't stumble on the giant, or vice versa.
Fair point.
Let's play it safe then. Let's back up a little so that we're not quite so close to the giant, and I'll send Red back.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, so you guys hunker down for about an hour or so. The fox heads back about the time, well, the fox gets to the group. It barks, I can't remember which number of barks, Bryce, it was supposed to be, but it barks that there's danger ahead, I guess. Is that correct?
I'm going to say 1 bark because I don't want them to charge in with weapons drawn and annoy the giant.
One bark is just come.
Yeah, 1 bark will come.
So we'll just start heads up.
All right, so you guys move on up about another 45 minutes, just shy of an hour, when you spy your 3 comrades kind of crouched in the woods. Now, you guys, you hear your comrades moving, the Rangers and the Druid, you hear your comrades moving up behind you. But even as they do, the giant seems to catch some large bottom-feeding carp or maybe a catfish. You can't quite make it out. Pull it out of the water, smashes it something ferociously, and then stuffs it into a bag and then wanders off and into the woods. Unless you do something to call attention to yourself.
No, I was hoping the giant would find a fish and leave, so that's great as far as Edgar's concerned.
Perfect.
All right, so you guys find yourselves kind of regrouped a good, like I said, 4 or 5, 6 miles up the river from before. Are you going to hunker down and let the Rangers get ahead again, or just plow on?
I think we should continue on as a group, have the Rangers ahead, but not far enough away to not be of assistance. That was not resting easy after you're sitting and realizing how far away you guys truly were, given the reality of this forest.
We're not at the camp anymore, so we can head on with you, just as long as we have someone scouting ahead.
Yeah, like 30 to 50 yards or something. They're close enough to us not to be heard. They can pull out of it, and we're close enough, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should send the Rangers out, and actually you could stagger the Rangers. You pull one out about 50 yards ahead of the other Ranger, and then that Ranger ahead of the group as a whole about 50 yards. That gives us ability to relay and move quicker.
That's fine with Edgar. He'll move out.
Okay. All right, so essentially you got Edgar in the front, and then after that you've got Karina maybe 50 yards back, the whole party kind of moving forward. The rest of that day goes with nothing untoward. Nothing bothers you all in the woods. You see a couple of creatures here and there, but you make really good time. Late in the afternoon, the ground rises just enough that it dries out, and you're now a little bit above the river. It's still wet, but you're not walking through water as you had been through most of the day. Pitch a small camp. The Rangers can easily find you guys a defensible position. I assume that's what you do. Anything extraordinary that you do while you're camping?
The lay on hands ability, is that per 24 hours, or is that a daily ability? Meaning if I was to use it now?
Yeah, you definitely want to use it now so you'll get it back in the morning.
I do so. 8 hit points to Aldrich.
Nice. Thank you. That gets me fully back to normal.
I figured out how to move my red dot. So you're further up the river now. I'm getting there, Chuck. I'm getting there. All right.
Yeah. So The ranger will use his, sorry, I'm hearing my echo. I will use my survival skills to try and make the camp as comfortable as possible for everybody. He says the rainy season is coming on, so he'll try and pull some branches down to make like a canopy cover. Other than that, we should be good to go.
You take about 30 minutes. Managed to do that pretty easily. Get everything relatively comfortable. I'm going to roll some random encounters. Nothing bothers you guys that night. You get a relatively decent night's sleep. Wake up early the next morning with the birds singing and various and sundry noises in the forest. And I assume hit the road as you did the day previous. All right.
Well, we have another campsite that we can come back to. But unlike the previous day, we don't know what we're going to encounter, so it makes sense that we just all kind of continue as we did in the previous day with the Rangers scouting ahead.
Okay, now let me ask you, that's good. So 50 feet and 50 yards and 50 yards. Are the Rangers going, if you spot something, are you going to actively attempt to avoid it, or are you going to regroup the party and attack it?
Edgar will attempt to avoid, unless it cannot be avoided. If he sees something, what he thinks is interesting, he'll double back, go link up with the other ranger, because if we pull back 50 feet, that should give us enough time to discuss what we need to do without actually being in the middle of the encounter. So that's what Edgar will.
Okay, to your point, you're actually going to be able to kind of decide that one way or the other. Nothing. You don't really encounter anything that's particularly aggressive that morning and through to noon, except one very, very large irate moose. But in the middle of the afternoon, you spy some kind of three-headed dragon-like creature eating perhaps a bear. It killed something and it's eating it. It's aggressively tearing it to pieces. You know that you can get a little closer if you want to get a better look, or you can circumvent this thing entirely with a check, with basically a track check.
Yeah, I'll try to. We still have that non-combatant with us, right? The sailor?
Yes.
Yes, then I will attempt to avoid this.
Yes, because he will certainly die. All right, so give me a...
The sailor, I've been having walk beside me.
Okay, just to make sure he stays safe. Edgar, give me a track check. I think that's a wisdom for you. It might be a dexterity, but I think it's wisdom.
It is wisdom. I got a total of 23.
All right, you managed to easily find kind of a defile to guide the party through, to avoid this creature, and move on and north. So by late in the afternoon, early in the evening, the temperature goes up just a smidgen. There's a different form of moisture in the air. You can kind of feel it. It's more mist than it is rain and dew and all of that, so that you all know, especially the Drew and the Rangers, that you're relatively close to those falls, and this mist in the air is actually just runoff from the falls themselves. So now would be a time to cast that spell, Bryce, or in the morning, however you guys want to do it.
Let's do it now and see how stable the conditions are while we ask. I think I'd be inclined to ask a bird because they'd have the most visibility. What do you guys think?
That makes sense to me.
Crossing on the ground.
Yeah, it's
Just
good.
as long as it's
They got a longer range too.
described that we can't fly,
Yeah.
and we have to walk on two legs everywhere.
It's easy to get across the river. Just fly.
Yep. Well, I guess we could start with a bird and then try someone else either later today or tomorrow if the bird doesn't give us a good answer.
Whatever you think is best. I am not blessed with that particular set of abilities.
So,
Can we hear the waterfall or the rapids, or do we just feel the water?
No, you can hear it. It sounds almost like waterfalls in stereo. It's coming from two different directions. North, but kind of north into the west, north into the east.
So the two rivers are forking into a couple of waterfalls. Edgar is visibly excited about this and is very eager to move on to see the waterfall.
Well, that's right. You're on a sightseeing tour of the Dark Falls.
Edgar enjoys every single thing about his life. He's a very happy person, likes meeting people, and loves to see new.
I think I'd like Edgar. All right, so the spell, what, are you looking for any specific bird or just whatever you see first?
Just the first bird that I find.
All right, I'm gonna look at my bird feeder, and whatever's feeding in that feeder is what you're gonna see.
All right.
He's really doing it.
It is a very tiny, little bitty Carolina wren. These little birds are about the size of a sparrow. They have extremely long beaks and short tails, but they make an amazingly beautiful, very loud song when they're singing. So you hear this bird singing, you cast your spell, it immediately flies over, lands on your hand, and begins singing as they are wont to do.
All right. So, hello, friend. Is the river big ahead?
He says it is very difficult for him to cross that river. And that kind of, obviously, the paladin is correct, Marcus is correct, he can't really speak. He doesn't understand exactly the way you move, so from that you can gather it's broad, flying across is tough.
Is it smaller somewhere?
Beyond the man-made fortifications, beyond the man-made rocks it is. It then can communicate to you that there are perches just before the man-made rocks that you could land upon.
Is there anything else dangerous that you've seen?
There are wicked creatures that live in those man-made rocks.
Probably, yes. All right. I will thank it and let it go.
It sings and flies off. You really needed a crow. They're very smart.
That's true. So I will share with the team that the river is still pretty high nearby, and it looks like we're going to have to get up past, let me go look at the map. Would that be Alice then?
No, so you're where the
would be the city
is?
That with the man, that's probably the man-made rocks.
That looks like it'd be
No,
too far.
Alice should be like 30 miles, maybe 40 miles away from where we are.
Yeah.
And this is Edgar talking about what he thinks the bird is talking about. Alice is way far to the west of us. It's maybe 2 or 3 days journey. The fortification, it sounds like maybe there's a garden bridge across there. That's how he took it. And if if the bird said there's mean people there, it's probably guards or bandits. So that's what I think it is.
Did it mention people?
I think he said mean things. So I guess, that could be an owl for the bird. I don't know, but
that is true.
But
those algae creatures.
Could be a squirrel. They're always running them out of the feeders, so you just don't know.
That's true. So what do we think? It sounds like we should probably keep moving before we try to cross, because the river doesn't get lower for a while. That much is for sure.
Yeah, and we can, right, so we can creep up and take a look and see what the structure is, and then maybe make an assessment from there. But at least now we know there is something up there.
Yeah, I agree. The Rangers can move up and basically scout out the situation.
Edgar agrees.
All right, let's do that then.
Okay, so in the failing light, you got about another hour or so of light. The Rangers go forward a little bit to see what's going on. So I'm going to describe it once, and you guys can convey it to everyone in the party, and hopefully it makes the birds chirping sound make a little more sense. So you move forward about a mile or so, and you can see where the two rivers come together. The river, the Washita, which is on the left-hand side, is the larger of the two. And as you move forward, you can see up beyond that confluence, if you're looking at the map, one set of waterfalls. Where the Washita is coming over, it's about maybe 1,000 feet or so up, probably not even that, probably about 500, 600 feet up after the confluence. And it's a pretty violent fall coming over. Now on the right-hand side, that's the westerling, you see another waterfall almost in the exact same position as the one on the Washita falling over. It's much easier. On this promontory overlooking, essentially if you look at where Alice is and that black line beneath it, that's a ridge line. That ridge line continues to extend all the way through the forest somewhat, though it gets lost in the trees, and you're clearly standing beneath this ledge-like area. So the river that you're standing next to, looking forward, you can see this promontory that goes up about 60-odd feet, and that goes back. That's between the confluence of the rivers. The waterfalls are on either side of that promontory. Does that make sense to everybody? And then there is some type of very old, ruined, mangled fortification on that promontory overlooking the river itself. So you can see both sets of falls, this old castle keep type thing. And then right in front of it, so at the foot of that promontory, just beyond the confluence of the river, there are just a mountain of boulders scattered through the water. The water is normally it would be rapids and very difficult to navigate, but because the water is deep enough right now because of the runoff and the rains and what have you, you just see these boulders here and there kind of sticking up and out of the water. A little bit of white water going around them, but that Druid, you immediately know that's what that bird was talking about when he was talking about perches to get across the river. He can fly from rock to rock to rock and end up on the other side without getting exhausted or knocked out of the air or what have you. And presumably the fort is up beyond the man-made, the castle on the promontory.
Do we see any movement in the castle, any guards, any monsters, any signs of life or, humanoid intelligent life in this castle?
Give me a spot check.
I rolled a 1.
You do not. The other ranger giving me a spot check.
Looks all clear to me, guys.
You are so enraptured with the waterfalls that you can't take your eyes off them.
That's exactly what it was.
Karina rolled a 14.
Okay, you look at it for a moment. You don't see any smoke or figures moving or whatnot. But what you do see off the left-hand side are clear signs of defecation down the wall. So clearly something is up there and defecating off the wall. Now what it is, you'd have to get much closer to see, what's using it that way. Whether it's a creature that's perched there and doing that, or if it's, some man-at-arms that just needs to go to the bathroom and empties his bowels on the wall.
Pooh. Guess we should go back.
Hello.
So
that was a fire for effect right there.
I think we should go up to the waterfalls and see if it's possible to pass under the waterfalls to cross over the river.
Edgar gives you a very enthusiastic, okay.
All right, so the two of you do that?
Yes.
So you move forward. It's getting dark at this point. You move forward and looking at it where the waterfall is in front of you. Even if you could weave your way behind it, you're going to end up at the bottom of a 60-foot cliff that you've got to climb up to get to the top of that promontory, which is going to put you right inside that fortification.
All right, so it looks like our only real option then is to keep going straight up on the side of the river that we're already on, get past the fortification, cross over there because the fort's supposed to be north of that fortification, loop around the fortification, or the castle, whatever, and then cross the next river, which hopefully will have a ford there as well, and then go southwest to Alice. Is that correct?
That, or you use the rocks and pass underneath the fortification.
You said that usually this will be hard to cross rapids. Now most of the rocks are kind of covered up by water.
Yeah, and the
Do
water.
we see any way to kind of finagle a way that we can safely cross these rocks?
You probably could swim from rock to rock. It would take 4 or 5 swim checks, something like that, per party member, unless you rigged something. But, I mean, it's conceivable because you have somewhere where you can stop, rest, catch your breath. The only problems that you can conceive or anticipate would be, I think, the paladins and plate mail. That's an issue. And the gnome and the dwarf are, you know, they're not great swimmers.
Yeah, and I'm in split mail, which is bad enough.
We have a lot of rope in the party. How far across is it from what, because we're right next to the forest, if I tie one end of the rope off to a tree, how far to get to the other side, to the other?
About 90 feet.
So we would need 2 ropes, probably 3 to tie off on both sides. I have rope, and I know at least 3 other people have rope. So then we could tie a slip knot or just a loop. We could do a large bow line, so people can slip that underneath their armpits, not around your waist, but under your armpits. And then do a loose loop to the rope bridge once it's tied, so you could use that to get across without having to worry about being washed down the river. Should be okay if we have enough rope. We just have to tie off one end, and then the first person just needs to get over to the other side and tie off there. After that, it should be all right.
Sounds like a plan. You fall back to the group and pitch this idea?
Yes, and I need a quick AFK. There's someone outside my house.
Okay, yeah,
Sure.
definitely check that out.
I think that sounds like a plan if we want to get across the river quickly. You know, we can definitely, you know, the rope will keep us safe to get across there, provided that you know, nothing cuts the rope or anything like that happens.
Well, I think we've got enough rope. If we tie it off well, or lash them together well, we'll be okay. I've got a grappling hook too that we can use. That might help us in securing it at one end or the other. My other recommendation is we might want to leave one person on the near side, the side we start on, and then they can tie themselves off and work themselves over as when the rest of us get over, because then they'll have somebody to basically pull them across. It's 90 feet, so it shouldn't be that bad.
Was there anything that would stop us from getting across or threaten the rope? Did you see any signs of anything that might threaten it?
No, no, neither of the Rangers saw it.
What else did you see besides the rock?
There's 2 amazing waterfalls. I can't wait for you guys to see them.
Was there any fortifications or anything like that sound like maybe the bird was stopping?
Well, yeah, the castle. It's up on the hill.
So we're not worried about someone firing out of the castle at us while we're trying to cross or anything?
No, it's completely empty.
Okay.
They don't need to know.
Well, Edgar didn't see anything. He rolled a 1.
Everything's fine.
Sometimes Edgar is bliss.
Yes, everything always works out for Edgar, so he assumes that everything is just going to be fun.
Sounds good. Let's go across. Although it is getting dark, so hopefully we can get across the totally black. You might want to wait till the morning.
We should wait until the morning to do this. Crossing the river at night is not going to.
And maybe we'll see that the castle lights up at night. We won't.
Okay, so I assume you guys are going to bed down, wait till the morning to cross this river?
Yep.
While we're here at camp, Edgar will start gathering up the rope. He'll tie 3 of them together to make 150-foot length, and then he'll take another 50 feet. He'll cut it in half, if that's okay with whoever owns the rope, or you can have my 50-foot rope and I'll cut mine in half. And and then he'll make the loops with the bowline on the end, and he'll explain to everybody how it's going to work. That way, once we start going up and actually constructing this thing, everybody has some idea what we're doing.
So you're making little loops around the rope, like loop handholds that we're going to slide along the rope while we're holding it?
Kind of. What it's going to be, there'll be a bow line on one end that is just a non-slip knot with a loop in the middle. So you'll drape that over you, tuck it up underneath your armpits. You don't want to tie it on your waist. Tuck it up under your armpits with the rope going across your back. That way you don't choke yourself out. The other end, it'll be maybe 2 feet long. And the other end will have another bow line on it because with the 150 feet of rope, we're going to have 2 tie points in between this rope. And that way you can throw your loop over that knot without being stopped. And then you basically distract yourself. You'll do like a hand-over-hand thing with the rope, with the 150 foot going across. And so the bow line and the rope that's on the crossing rope is just for safety. That way, if you get swept off, you're still held in place so you can pull yourself back up.
Sounds great. It sounds like you've thought this out well for us.
I like to be useful.
Okay, so the next morning you guys get up, eat your breakfast, whatnot, do a little scouting. You don't see anything untoward or any of that mess. Move down to the river to where just beneath the confluences where you can see both the waterfalls and the rock formations above you. So all I need to know is how you're going to get the rope across the river. Is someone going to swim?
Yes, someone will need to attempt to cross the rocks and swim over. I don't know who the strongest swimmer is. I don't know if it's one of the rangers or because I don't see a swim skill on my character.
This is where
I'm not strong, but I don't wear armor.
Yeah, this is where Cassius will say there's no real skills for swimming. Kind of you build them into your background if that's what you and the CK work out. But in this case, obviously you guys are 4th and 5th level adventurers. If you're adventuring in the Darkenfold, not swimming is probably the last thing that you want to do. There's lots of rivers everywhere, so everyone would have a rudimentary ability to swim. It's going to be a dexterity check, and at this point you can metagame. Obviously if it's a game, you build all this stuff in your character, but when you're metagaming it, you probably want to do the best dexterity, least armor, that type of thing.
Well, Bryce just wears clothes, not armor, and has a ring of swimming. So Bryce seems like probably the right person to take that across.
Magic item trumps skill. Go for it.
Marcus's plan was just to hold his breath and walk.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can be a little more tactical.
I think Bryce has this covered. So
when Bryce announces that she has a ring of swimming, Edgar asks her, "Cool, what does it do?" He's never seen a magic item. So what does this ring do?
Watch this. So
he does.
Do you want a dex check then?
You don't really need to make one. I mean, you're going to.
Okay.
I assume you're swimming across, and even if you lose your
with the
dex
rope
check, you're going to get sucked downstream a little bit, and eventually, you can't drown. So, well, I guess you could. It's not a ring of water breathing, I suppose. Does it tell you what it gets? Chuck, do you know what that ring of swimming gives you?
Sure.
I'm looking it up.
I just assume it gives you a swim speed on my assumption. I'm going to guess 50 feet.
That is exactly I'm assuming the same.
I may give you like +10 against giants too, though. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of grasping.
Oh no, it's just a +5.
Just for added versatility.
You're still going to have to make a dex check, Bryce. It just makes you a slightly better swimmer. So you're going to roll your dex, add your level and your attribute bonus, and then a bonus 5. Just make 2 dex checks for me. And are you using the rocks to get across, or are you going to just dive in and try to swim all the way across?
I'll play it safe and try to use the rocks just to save my stamina and make sure I don't screw up the party.
Okay, give yourself an extra bonus 2 for that.
Okay.
And the running into the rope is, she has held onto that. That way it's up that.
Yeah, I would tie it around my waist actually, so that my arms are free. First dex check is 21. Why am I not seeing it? 23, yeah.
All right, so you easily get across, halfway across. So give me a second one.
All right, that's 13, 14, and you said plus 5 from the ring?
Plus 5 from the ring and plus 2 for using the rock.
Okay, so that's 21.
All right, so it takes you about 10 minutes or so, but you work your way across the river, get onto the other side, and I assume secure the rope bridge.
Yep.
All right, so everyone's just going to then tie themselves into the bridge and slowly cross until you're safely. I assume nobody's going to do anything wild or crazy to make it more adventuresome.
Yeah, and then the last person should undo the anchor point and just pull themselves across using the rope. Shouldn't be a problem.
All right, who's going last?
Marcus.
Andrew will last, that way he can police up the rope, since it was his idea, so, unless the other ranger wants to do it.
Karina will go last.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna go just for them.
You guys work your way. It takes you a good 30 minutes for everyone to work their way across this river and get to the other side. You can clearly see the falls on the Washita side. They're much larger, much more violent, a great deal more water tumbling down that way, but you manage to get yourselves across. Now, when Karina is about halfway through and she's swimming using the rocks too, obviously to help facilitate it, a rather large creature crawls itself up on top of the battlements, looking down. It's at first you all you notice it. At first you just the sound of it. A moment later, the mist that's all around you from the falls is filled with the stench of this thing. Your an immediate kind of reaction is there's some kind of mountain lion coming up, but it's got huge ram horns coming out of the side of its head. And as it pulls itself up further, a broad set of leathery-like wings very, very gently stretches behind it, as if the creature's just waking up, and it's looking down and all of it. And even as it's looking down, this dragon-like tail snakes around one of the battlements, and it's starting to look down at you all as well. So Karina is about halfway through. The rest of you are, wringing out the water from cloaks and whatnot.
I start pulling the rope to help Karina move faster.
Okay.
After saying, "Holy crap!"
Okay.
I would like to assist in pulling that rope.
Bryce will also assist.
All right, so you all leap forward, grabbing the rope, pulling Karina. Karina, you start flying across the river. They drown you accidentally.
I'm gonna now.
Grimfast will just give.
Grimfast what?
Grimfast will just give moral support, saying, "You can do it. It'll be okay. It'll be okay."
There you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna call out to the creature. Stand back, beast! We mean you no harm. Today you may live.
It perks up when you notice it, and you can see the hair on its lion's mane kind of lay back, and it just roars something ferociously and starts pulling itself up onto the battlement. You can see the snake-like dragon tail begins to coil around, hiss, a little bit of smoke comes out of its mouth. Its back legs begin to kind of tense up, and its front legs moving down the side of the battlements and down the side of the castle just a little bit. You've all seen a cat pounce. You can tell what it's bracing to do.
Aldrich immediately draws his bastard sword.
I do not think the creature's listening to me.
I want to go and I say, everybody get close to me.
Sorry, who said get close?
Water?
Evelyn is shouting for everybody to get close to her.
You pulled Karina out of the water at this point. Does everyone get close to the illusionist?
Yep.
Yes, as long as we pulled Karina out, then I'll get close.
Yeah.
Even if we're getting in a radius for a fireball, yes.
Basically, I say, okay, everyone stay really close to me, and then I start casting invisibility sphere.
Ooh.
All right.
So
So
provided everyone's within 10 feet, everyone should vanish from sight.
We should probably not yell at this thing again. We should probably be as quiet as we can. That does not look friendly.
Where's the fun of that?
So cool. Yeah, I think that train's gonna at the station. But I'm trying to, to threaten and intimidate it, man. We're a badass group. They should know better than to mess with us, right?
The only adventuring group in history to actively avoid every single encounter.
Put the pressure on me.
That's right. All right, I'm looking to see. There's no saving throw against this. Well, when you cast invisibility sphere, the creature stops. It hesitates and it relaxes a little bit, and then it roars again. Spreads its wings out, and it really, it clearly doesn't know what to do. What do you do?
I whispered to everybody, come on, let's start moving away from the edge of the river.
I couldn't hear what you said there. The echo was pretty bad.
I have my key down. He said, move away from the river.
Yeah, let's slowly, let's start moving. Don't make too much movement that's going to move around us so it can't tell that we're here.
So we're all pushed together really close and inching our way towards the forest.
I'm trying as hard as I can to walk quietly in plate mail.
You don't have to keep bringing that up.
Yeah, it's the same for us in Splint too. We're pretty noisy, so we're just going to be creeping along that old Tim Conway walk.
Yeah, because we stay together, no one will see us.
Mr. Tudball on escape.
I don't want to bring up the Holy Grail again, but now you reminded me of the cartoons when they're all in a little group and they're running around.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
There you go. All right, so you guys move 15, 20 odd feet. You're having to move slow to keep, it quiet, but with 2 sets of splint mail at least and 1 set of plate mail in here, it's not easy to do, and there's 8 of you or whatever the heck there is. And clearly the Chimera leaps off of the side of the walls, and it swoops down across the riverbank, and it lands half in the water, half out, maybe 40, 50 odd feet down, and it kind of crouches somewhat, looking left and right, trying to obviously get a gauge of what it saw and what it doesn't see now. The dragon is the most attentive.
I would like to cast Ghost Sound and cast I can cast it 150 feet away, and I would like to cast, Our Voices and Scurrying, or whatever combination of it I could, basically running out and fleeing from the cave.
All right. Well, you all hear that clearly. The dragon, the dragon tail hears it first. It pivots immediately. It growls somewhat, and the lion, or the Chimera part of the beast, pivots, wings out, leaps into the woods. As it goes into the woods, the wings fold up, and it just starts tearing up through underbrush. You can see the dragon breathe at one point as the creature clearly is trying to pounce on what it cannot see nor hear. Do you book at this point, or do you just keep sneaking away?
Let's get out of here as fast as we can.
Yep.
We have to protect the small boy.
That boy is running faster than any of you all can run.
We also already have the loot from several, previous adventures that we're trying to protect. So I would say that's the main incentive for not fighting new creatures.
There you go. All right, so you all start, you move not very far, maybe 200 feet off of that river, when you come into a broad open, what at first you think is a trail, but it's actually a dry creek bed. It's got a little bit of water in it now, and that leads you on a very, very easy passage through the woods through the rest of the day, leaving the Chimera long behind.
That was a close one.
That was great. That was really amazing teamwork, guys. I like that one.
That was some astounding teamwork. Let me tell you, that was awesome.
We were all on point there. Really did.
Because there's no way the dragon wasn't going to hear or smell you, but then the ghost sound spooked off that, the invisible. That's well done. Well, essentially, you were on what's called...
That thing would have shredded us.
You're on what's called the Pig's Trail. It takes you about a day to get down to the bluffs beneath Alice. There's ladders that lead up to Alice. and then it's an easy jaunt to ends meet from where you are. And it's 2 minutes till 3, so we actually finished the game.
Amazing. Hurrah, hooray. Oh, Bryce, do me a favor. I put you a message in the chat there. If you can read that for me, I'd appreciate it. I need to get you on the book for some credit. Steve, thanks for running this. It's fun.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad you found this camera thing. It makes it infinitely easier on me.
Well, this is new. It's not too long ago. I was as shocked as you were. I hadn't messed. I saw it. I thought, well, what is that? Turns out, yeah, good deal.
Yeah, we'll just translate this over to the string, and we're good to go.
Yeah, with the pop-out feature, it's going to be really nice. I think it'll be easy. Oh, it's from the server that Wayne said. See, that's something I didn't know about. Oh, cool.
But thank you all for showing up today. I wish we'd scheduled 5 hours. There's a little bit more to it when we, you know, but the overlays always take a little longer than I anticipate.
Steve,
Thanks for running. This is awesome. What a fun group.
Great, Steve.
Nice to meet you face to face.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. It's been a long time. Yeah, you guys.
I appreciate you guys hanging out. We're going to be having some more games with him. So.
Yeah, very soon.
See, before you go, Steve, I live in central New York, and there are waterfalls everywhere out here. And every chance we get, my wife and I will go out hiking towards the waterfalls, and there's streams and woodlands everywhere out here. And every time we go out, I'll get this kind of wistful look on my face, and my wife's like, "You're thinking about Dungeons and Dragons, aren't you?" And I'm always like, "Yeah," because I always picture my ranger going out to these waterfalls or these streams and going through the woods. This is exactly what I always have in my mind. I had such a good time today. It was absolutely perfect.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad for that. I absolutely love Overland because you can get that kind of flavor going, you know. And the players get into it. You got into it. Everybody got into it. I mean, it's just a lot. I don't know. It's easier to live. But I got to tell you, you guys did some astounding teamwork on that. I mean, you disarmed my. Oh, let me read you real quick. So that monster, I don't know who wrote this. It's some kind of algae.
What was it?
Let me get to it. It's I literally just opened to the page and there it was. So it's an algoid. My guess is it's from Classic Monsters. Now, of course, we've combined the books in C&C, so we got one big monster manual. So it has a low intelligence. No kind of comment on whether it speaks, so I assumed that since it's algae, it didn't speak your language. But then it says, it would be wrong to label the algoid as evil, for it has no concept of good or evil, but it is aggressive and ill-tempered and will attack any creature it desires for no reason. So, so it was kind of a mix on how it would respond. But it was ensorcelled. It had the illusionist, whatever, not hallucinate, whatever it was.
Influence person. I can do this on influence.
So that I don't know, that was very, very cool.
So I plan on keeping this character, and I'm playing in tomorrow's game that Chuck, I think you're running. Do we get experience for this? Can I keep this character and just bring him over? How does
Of course.
Well,
Chuck would welcome that.
I'm thinking it's adventure tomorrow. I have to look, but I think it's actually lower. But you can reuse the character. I don't care. It's easy. But yeah, we'll look at it. Just mention it to me in the morning when you get around. I'm gonna be up early tomorrow getting things set up, so it's all right for sure.
I will, and I know that Mike, 42 Data Squirrel, the Paladin, he's playing in the group with me tomorrow as well. Are any of the rest of you playing?
Nope, just this one.
That's a bummer. I had a great time. It was really nice to meet everyone. I had a really good time with this.
Yeah.
We have a place to chat after, you know, everybody can always leave contact information in the Discord or something like that.
Good point.
In this camp.
Yeah, you guys are an awesome team.
Yes, I will definitely do that. I'm happy to play with any of you guys at any time. So great.
Cool. Any of you guys ever want to run games in Discord, I'll set you up a private channel. Easy peasy. No problem.
I am definitely interested in the Castle Keeper side, I just need to get a better grasp of the system and rules.
Yeah, it's really easy. Once you dive into it, start using the Siege engine, you'll kind of, and I came to it slowly. We released it in 2005, and I kept playing AD&D until Davis and Mac, who both play at my table and created the Siege engine, they both basically gave me an ultimatum that they weren't going to play any more AD&D until I played CNC stuff. So I started playing it. It had been out for about a year, and it took me about 4 games to realize how crazy, easy, and versatile the Siege engine is. And I've never looked back. So give it a shot. I mean, it's really, I can say it's easy, but not until you get into it do you realize how you can manipulate it and do all kinds of crap with it. It's really nice.
The other nice thing about it is it's completely compatible with AD&D, almost like you just, on the fly, you can convert anything over.
I'll tell you right now, guys, in the morning, my feed photo is sitting over here. I'll just tell you.
There you go. And I will say I was very pleased. We've had people compare it. You know, we've been giving, since the pandemic started and we've all been locked up, we've been giving the Player's Handbook away, the digital copy, for free. And so we've been getting just tons of reviews on this thing, just people who've never heard of it, never played it. And for years, we've heard it compared to AD&D, to Basic, to Expert, to 5th Edition, to whatever, the Mulvey version, whatever that is. But yesterday we got a review. Someone said this is just like 4th edition, and it's the first time anyone said that. I was like, sweet. And the reason I liked it is it tells me that this player was able to pick this game up and go. His favorite game is obviously 4th edition AD&D or D&D. He went right into CNC with no problems. So that was very cool.
You can't trust anybody that says they like 4th edition. You need to back away slowly, make lead their way, and just go away.
It's definitely a different game.
It's an acquired taste, but it is still gaming, I guess, you know. And Steve knows this, I started with D&D Next on 5th edition. I played through it, and I actually, when I moved to virtual, I started with CNC, then I moved to the 5th edition, and I guess about a year and a half ago, I went right back to my roots, which is CNC, because that's the only modernized OSR that I really, that goes with the modernization as far as going forward, not Echo, but still has, you know, the feel of the old school, you know?
And it's really, I can't, you know, I'm not trying to sell the game or anything, but well, I should be. Ken's telling me I always got to sell the game. When you're using it, both as a player, I remember I was running some kids and teenagers, and they'd never played any RPG, just, video game. And we probably played for about an hour and a half when, I can't remember who it was, but one of them said, wait a minute, so really, I can try anything. I just got to make an attribute check. And I was like, yeah, dude, go. And because it's like the swimming, there's no swimming skill. You can try to swim, and if you build it into your character, great. If the CK's allowed it, great. If not, you try it anyway. It's an attribute check at that point. There's Tim in the server saying, sell the game.
Sell the game. You know what, Steve? True story. Some of the guys in the channel have been asking for us to try to get Tim in the game. I'm not making that up.
We'll get him in eventually.
Well, Mike and I were talking earlier, because the free PDF, how I even got into this 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, Mike, Data Squirrel there in the center, he messaged me, because he lives in Alaska. I used to live in Alaska. We started getting messages. That's how we know each other. And then I moved to New York, but we still talk all the time. We play D&D over Zoom. But, the 4-hour time difference is extremely difficult to deal with, so it's been a while. But he messaged me, he's like, hey, have you heard of this system? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So he said, well, this Castles and Crusades are giving away free PDFs of their Player's Handbook. And I was like, free? Okay, great, why not? So I downloaded it that night, and I put it on my tablet, and I'm sitting there flipping through it. I messaged him, I was like, man, this system's awesome. And, and the first thing I do is look at Ranger. Ranger is always my go-to class. So the first thing I did was look at it, and I was like, oh, this is exactly how I want a Ranger to be. He doesn't climb walls. He scales. If he's in a city, he can't do it. He can climb cliffs. And, everything was exactly how I wanted a Ranger to be. And then before the game started today, I messaged him. I was like, hey, do you just have the PDF, or do you have any of the hardbacks yet? He said, no, I only have the PDFs. And I bought the campaign setting bundle that you guys had, the Greek settings and the Germans and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I bought that bundle.
Nickel.
And yes, and so today, as soon as we log off here, I'm buying the hardback. I'm going to get a player's handbook. I hope that my enthusiasm is coming through clearly. I had such a good time playing this Ranger. It was exactly what I wanted. So I'm definitely getting the player's handbook.
I'm glad that the download worked out for you. I'll give you a little insight into that Ranger. It's the only class that still causes arguments behind the troll screens anymore. Because when you look through the player's handbook, all of the classes, and this is the Adventures Backpack too, they're built off of archetypes, right? So that the Ranger is blah blah. So it was a ferocious debate, and back in 04 and 05, whether the Ranger should be a dex-based or a strength-based class. And me and Max we wanted it to be warriors, and we were basing it on, if you've ever read the appendices to Return of the King, there's a tiny little snippet on Aragorn where he actually is fighting in the southlands of Harad for years and years and years and years before, the Lord of the Rings actually takes place. So he's clearly a warrior. He's a ranger, but he's clearly a warrior even, right there. And that's kind of the argument that won out, and that's why he's a strength-based class. But if you mention that to Todd Gray, who still works for Troller Games, it makes him very angry because he wanted it to be a dex-based class. So it's quite humorous.
Well, so many of the Ranger skills are dex-based. But, you mentioned Aragorn. Throughout the entirety of the book and the movies, he never touches a bow. He uses a sword. Right. And so I get it. But, because when I was reading through it, I was like, oh, man, my strength is a 13, my dex is 16. But I'm like, all of my skills are dex and wisdom-based. The only thing that I'm doing strength-based is my sword. But that's the way I wanted to play the character anyway, so it's working fine.
See, that's the anomaly, because I'm pretty sure that's the only class that does that. All of its abilities none of its abilities are actually based on its primary attribute. Because for those of you who don't know, in Castles and Crusade, each of your classes has a primary attribute. Like a fighter's is strength. You have to have strength as a prime. A ranger's is strength. You have to have strength as a prime. Wizard, intelligence, down the line. But the ranger, I think, is the only one who all of its class abilities, or none of its class abilities, use his primary attribute. And that was the rub with Todd, because it wasn't giving him any advantages to have. You sort of have 3 primes, but not. You got an extra one in there, but not really. So it still causes quite a bit of rancor.
What was Todd's conception of the Ranger based on? Like, you had Aragorn in mind. What was Todd thinking of? What character?
My guess is Todd, when he was. Now, Todd didn't write this stuff. This is really, the rules are really Matt Golden and David Chenault, and everything. We play Testament at our own table, and the only part that I had on the rules section of the Player's Handbook. Now, I've written most of the Adventures Backpack, but the only part I had on the Player's Handbook was the rule had to be written so simply that I had to understand it in the first pass. If I didn't understand it in the first pass, they had to rewrite it. That's all I had to do with it. And Todd really was just kind of a conceptual designer on the side in the play testing. And though I don't think he ever had any archetype that he was looking at, what he was looking at was the Dungeons and Dragons, the AD&D Ranger, which really was more in tune with that kind of dex base than the strength base. That would be my guess if I remember that correctly.
So we were like Gimli the elf, or not Gimli the elf, Legolas the elf.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Bows, and all of that stuff. So the Ranger's he's a very interesting. There's a history behind him that's very, very interesting. That if you see Todd at a convention, just go up to him and say, "Man, I'm glad you guys went with a strength base on the Ranger." See his head explode. But be advised, he's really big. He's like 6'2". So.
Okay. Well, my next question is: I'm also signed up for your Tricks of the Trade that starts at 45 minutes from now. What channel are we using for that?
Chuck?
I'm one of these people, when I'm typing, I can't hear. When I hear, I can't type. What did you say?
Tricks of the Trade starts in 45 minutes. What channel are we using for that?
Well, it'll be the same. It'll be Troll Lords on Twitch. There won't be nothing in here as far as in Discord. But definitely go to the Twitch channel and ask all the questions you want. We'll be moderating for him. He'll pick all your questions. And I really want you guys to pester the shit out of him, okay? Just ask him all the questions you can. Make him feel on his heels, Make him work for it.
There you go.
45 minutes, man.
Yeah, we probably got to chat. Thanks again, everybody. This was a blast. This was a fantastic group.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Steve, and Chuck, thanks for running it for us. We look forward to playing again at some point soon. Anybody that wants to run these games in the Discord, make sure you mention that you played in this one. That way, we'll go, I was in that one.
Yeah, and guys, everybody played.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Liz. Everybody that played today will be getting credit, and I'll be sending an email out, and everybody that played this weekend will be getting some swag in the mail from us, too, some extra stuff. So just look for your emails.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye all.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, I think I'm still streaming though, so I'm probably, I think I'm out of Discord, but I have quit streaming, right? Is that correct? Yes. All right, now it's just me and a red dot here on the Trollord Twitch channel with Kobold calling. Let me just move that there. All right, so I'm going to kill the stream for a little bit, but it looks like I'll be back in 45 minutes. If you guys are out there, please either stick around or, yeah, no kidding. I don't need any of that, Peter. I don't need any of that. But I'll be back here in about 45 minutes, and we'll dive into GM's Tricks of the Trade 48 or 49. I'm not sure what it is, but we're discussing campaign. So please come on back. I'm going to stop now, and we will see you all in a very, very short little while.